and then I will switch over to presenting my whiteboard. And in that whiteboard, I'm going to set an agenda. Like, what are we doing? At the end of the day, what will happen? At the end of the day, we will have our domain. Let's call it domain.com for simplicity. And on that domain, we'll have a bunch of services available to us. First thing, email service. Second, calendar service. And contacts, address book. Like, these are corporate contacts, corporate calendar, corporate email on your company called domain.com. So think about it not as a personal email system, but as a corporate email where you have employees and groups and departments, and they will need to be segregated in a variety of so you have employees 1 through say 100. You will create groups and departments and segments, and each one of them will have an email. They will have a method of sharing calendar with other employees. They will have an address book and a global address book for everybody in the employee address directory. And so that's one quick step that we will have to produce at the end of the session. We will have these things on our own domains, so it's customized. Next up, what we will also have is a method for people to share documents. So we'll have documents, we'll have spreadsheets. I'm deliberately not calling it docx or spreadsheet, as I'm not calling it XLS. I think somebody's just coming in online, so I think I need to invite him. So I'm going to send him an invitation one more time. I'm doing that right now. And here he comes. He's joining first time today. And so Niku will come online in just a minute. We will have documents, spreadsheets, not necessarily XLS, but spreadsheets in general. And we will have presentations. We will not PPTX necessarily, PPTX, but some presentations. So these are like documents that people create in companies and businesses, and they share and they collaborate, they edit and things like that. And so that is the thing that we will be able to work on. And I'm going to, this chat is going to stop eventually because the Slack chat is, the Slack chat is kind of interrupting me. So I'm going to pause it. But I cannot really pause because it's our own team here that is interrupting. So they're like trying to come in, and so it's okay for that interruption. I hope I can tolerate, and I hope you will tolerate that. So having discussed document sharing and collaboration, the idea is that employees in your company, and I'm saying your company because you have this domain that you've got, and you will apply all the corporate principles to your company, and you will have to begin with just maybe you as the employee, and over time you will build your team and create more employees and have them share, collaborate, create, and do business using the domain that you will have. And we will use services from at least 2 major companies that provide these services, and those are the company Google and the company Microsoft. These companies provide these services, and they roughly charge you about $6 per user per month. That's the charge you will expect to pay per employee, and so that's how they make money currently. Both these companies have similar prices. They have some tiered pricing also, and that's the fact of life. So both these companies expect you to give them money after 30 days. So for now, for us, we don't have to worry about the payment part because they're giving us this option. And I think in Slack chat you have a method where I have given out links to you, and in that link in Slack you will have a link to try. I think there is this link called Google Apps for Business link. So in Slack you have this link where you can actually get started in 30 days for free. That is the option that you should be able to find that link. I'm going to paste that link again in Slack so you have it ready, and that is this. Okay, Chris Evans is still saying that he has not gotten the email, so I'm going to invite him one more time. And so I'm going to go back to Chris Evans. EJEVANS@gmail.com. Invite him. Invite.
Hey, Neelish.
Yes, sir.
You might want to tell him that it shows up in that social part, because it was a little hard for me to find the email as well, because it doesn't just by default go to your inbox.
And, yeah, I told him, Chris, nothing in the social tab. Resend. Please check social tab. And alternatively, I will give him another method. And that method is to actually go to that location where that button is, which is this button, and click here to request. Alternatively, click this to request invitation. Let's hope that he is able to come through that link. And we have Niku joining in. Hi, Niku. John, Jared, Anthony. And so we are waiting for Chris. Okay, understood. And is it a little quieter today and not so noisy? Do you feel that? Something different?
Oh, I got a new.
We're being very good students.
I know. Thank you.
Come on.
And it's totally okay to make noise, but I'm still waiting for Chris, and he hasn't shown up yet. And so the thing that I was discussing was in the context of what we just said, which is, at the end of our session, we should have a method in which our employees can use business collaboration services. Busyness, collaboration, creation, sharing, and another very important one is concurrent editing. Have you seen such a thing called concurrently editing a document? At the same time, 50 people respond to a RFP of some sort of tender or a request for quote, RFP, request for proposal, and you create one document, and 50 people simultaneously edit that document and create that in 5 minutes. Have you seen such a thing?
No.
Yeah, we will see that today. And so, respond to RFP and a sales proposal. 50 salespeople come together and hack a proposal down in 5 minutes and send. That's the kind of speed of collaboration you can get if you are using these tools in the cloud. And so otherwise what happens is, you have a document that you create, and then you share it with somebody, and they will make some further modifications, and they'll give it back, and then you have copy, you don't know which copy is the right one, and which is the whole copy. All that confusion happens, right? You've been there, done that. And so we still don't have Chris. Okay. Chris. EJEVANS. Chris just joined. Okay. Hi, Chris. Welcome. Hey, Chris. Good to see you. Good to see you. So I think we have quorum. That's good to know. So we have everybody now. I hope
There you go.
everybody. I'm just.
There you go. You'll get more noise now.
Somebody said something. I did not get that.
I said now that Chris joined, there'll be more noise.
There'll be more noise with Chris coming in. Is that what you want to say? See, Chris, they're saying good day, mate, to you.
Oh, g'day, mate. How you doing?
Good day, mate.
Oh, we could put you in a Fandoogly.
I know. Good day, mate. So we try to produce our authentic Australian accent, but we cannot really do that. So yeah, we try. Give it a shot.
That's all right. That's good.
Yeah, good day, mate. And so, having said, let's quickly check through if anybody that needs to be here and is not able to join. I will fix that, but I think we are okay. So the thing I was discussing was that writing that I have. So which is our outcome from today would be that our team of employees in our company would be able to collaborate, share, send email, manage calendar, create documents, respond, and do it at the fastest possible method. to begin with that, we need to do certain things with our domain. So I'm assuming that all of us have a domain of some sorts. We'll call it domain.com. You got it from either GoDaddy or some other company like 1&1, or some other company, 1AND1, or some other company which has given you or sold you a domain. And these domains are usually for $1.99 for the first year, and then after that, you typically pay about $7 to $8 every year. And I don't like this company, but this is okay. And then there are other companies that I seem to like better, but then all of these are basically the same location. The company, that group of companies called ICANN, Internet Consortium for on Names and Numbers. I think Internet Some Association on Names and Numbers. So this ICANN is the agency that regulates ICANN. If you look at this, that Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers is a non-profit organization that regulates this, who has the domain, right? You know this thing called ICANN. Have you heard of it before? If not, now you just did. And so this idea of who is Microsoft.com or who is whatever.com, there is a tool to find out who is, and the tool is called Whois, and the tool is here. And actually many companies provide the Whois tool, and so we can go Whois and search, and here you can find Whois and find CloudJared.com, and let's find out who's CloudJared.com. And so we are doing that because I know the name of the domain that Jared got, and that company is GoDaddy. As you can see in the screen, he registered it with GoDaddy, and he did it April 29th, which is yesterday or today maybe. Yeah, today. And the records are not up to date. It doesn't show yet as to who actually bought it. You can actually find out who bought this, what's the area code, phone number, address, everything, unless they are hiding it. Like another example will be this Whois.net, and we'll go look for who is Cloud Genius, and let's find out who they are. And so we will see if they're hiding or they're showing, and that's how you will know who are these people. And so it says, IT administrator, a corporation, Sammamish, Washington, phone number, email address, and all that, right? So they are not hiding. They're giving us the information about who is that domain owner. You can similarly go to other domains and play with it. So that's the tool to find out, that you can go to the Whois tool and find out who that company is. That's one quick way to find the ownership. This organization is the central authority worldwide, and there are various registrars, GoDaddy, and 1&1, and Namecheap, and goes on and on. I think there are 30 to 40,000 companies that are in the business of selling names. Once you get a name, it becomes yours. Unless you do not renew it, then it goes away. So 17 years ago, I was not able to find this domain for my last name. I could not get it. And then 16 years ago, I bought this domain. Maybe I'm wrong on the number of years, but I got the .org domain. And then 15 years ago, I was able to get this domain because the previous owner of this domain at that time, this is 17 years ago, this is 16 years ago, this is 15 years ago. At some point, this guy had decided to not renew, and at that time, I was able to grab it. And ever since then, I have it. This is my last name. You got that? That's how it works. If you like a domain, you keep it. If you don't like, don't renew, don't have to pay, move on. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Next thing. With every domain, .com or .whatever, comes a thing known as a name server. There are typically 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 5, maybe more number of servers that all they'll do is associate where are these things, that domain, where is it actually sitting and residing? Where are the services corresponding to that domain are residing? So there has to be a name server for every domain. And they don't confuse the name server with the name seller. The seller is GoDaddy, right? GoDaddy, whatever. And those are sellers. Don't confuse seller with server. So we will have to find every company usually that sells you a domain also gives you a server, a name server to be specific. Name server you get for free, most of them give you for free. And so if you are on GoDaddy, then you probably have a GoDaddy name server associated with the name you bought. So Jared Cloud or cloudjared.com, there is a name server corresponding to that. Let's find out what that name server is. I'm going to go to terminal, and in the terminal, make it big so you can see properly, and make it full screen and clear. And here you will find that I'm going to do a test and find out where the name server for this guy called Cloud Jared is. I'm typing dig cloudjared.com NS to find out where the name servers are, and that's the result you get. Now you will look carefully the answer section as opposed to the question section. So question I'm asking, what's the cloudjared.com name server? And the answer was, there are two, this and this. And there are more. But we have to worry about this part. So we need to know, okay, where are these guys? Cloudjared.com is sitting actually on NS49, NS50, two servers, name servers. That's where domain is controlled from. And this domain control through experience I know is GoDaddy. Let's go check one more thing. Dig. You have any other domain for me? Example?
I just bought one, johncorpus.com.
johncorpus.com, and we'll find out where did you buy it from. You bought it from VeriSign somewhere, did you?
One and one.
1&1. So if you just bought it like few seconds ago, it is not updated, doesn't have a name server record. There is no answer section yet.
Okay.
Yeah, you see there is no answer section. There's only a question section.
Yeah.
Which is understood. Let's find other domains like dig apple.com. What are the name servers? They are all managed by Apple themselves. Dig Boeing.com. Dig Boeing.com name server. And so they're all managed by Boeing.com. Boeing company themselves manage their own name servers. They don't have to go to GoDaddy. They run their own show and they manage their own servers. Let's see who's managing the cloudgenie.us name servers. And I'm not that big a company like Boeing or Microsoft. So what I do? I ask Amazon to manage it for me. AWS. And I have taken a service where I have the answer section says that I have my domain managed in the 4 locations. These are the name servers.
Who, hey Nilesh, who determines the .com or the .us or the .org name? And is that an endless list, or
So,
when I was purchasing my domain, they offered me to buy a package deal, and I could reserve my domain name on all the .org, the .
So my short answer to you: don't buy. Okay, do not.
No, I didn't buy, but can anyone make up
No.
a genie name?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you who can make up. These guys can. I can. I just told you about. They can make stuff up, and they are making stuff up like I don't know what .tt or .in or .il or you name it, like .ly, .com, .mil, right? So this .mil, there are a domain like that, .com and .ly and all the .org. It's a never-ending list. By the way, these days we have you name it, whatever. There are so many different names are coming up. I cannot even remember them. And these guys are basically making that decision that these are the top level domains, TLD. These are going to be available to the public at large. And they regulate it top level. Anything before the first dot is they control. And so actually, I would like to write domains like this, CLOUDGENI, followed by .US. I typically write domains in the reverse order, which is like this, US dot, CLOUDGENI dot. And so that's how you should actually write, because the tree at the very top is called, that is the origin, which is ICANN, and they decide under that tree what do you have. So you have the .in, .us, .com, .mil, .tt, .in, sorry, .il, and so for Israel, I don't know what country. This is for U.S. military. This is for companies. This is for the U.S. country. This is for India, and so it goes on and on. That's the top level domain control. Now they will hand off next level control to the US military, that you and your underneath that, you decide what goes underneath. And so the company consortium, this company then decides what goes underneath. So you can then start selling names here, and you can sell Microsoft.com. You can sell Apple.com. You can sell, IBM.com, things like that. And so somebody has to sell these names on behalf of these guys. And then Apple company, underneath the .com, Apple.com, can do whatever they want. But they cannot get, military at this level is regulated by military themselves. At this level, it is regulated by the Indian government. At this level, it is regulated by, I don't know who, probably somebody in the US Department of Commerce. And this is regulated by the country called Israel. And so that's how it is being regulated. If you look at the .com domain, there is no one company that regulates it. There is no one country that regulates it. So who does? Who does the regulating .com domains? They do themselves, these guys. The .com part is kind of unique in that you don't get to have whatever .com for you. You have to get something xyz.com, and that you can own. But you cannot get xyz.mil. That is controlled by military, US military specifically. Got it?
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, once you get the domain, underneath that you control whatever you want. You can get abc.xyz.com and you create that yourself. Like in my case, I got the top level domain .us, and underneath that I bought CLOUDGENI. You see that?
Yeah.
What I'm really trying to do is create a word out of it. And what's the word? The word that I want is
Cloud Genius.
That's right. And so I out of this .us, what I did was added this word. And so when you write it like in a standard form, it looks like this, a URL form. And then I have expanded it further to make it include like this. Here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's the idea, that anything underneath that domain you control. And so these A dot and BE dot are my control elements. I control that in my Route 53 in my name servers. These name servers help me regulate that. And so your domain will be controlled by you. And so I was somebody actually did not ping, so I was confused whether somebody pinged me on Slack or what. But so these name servers will have what is called a zone file. So for every domain, you have a name server, and in that name server, there is a file. A file is as simple as a text file you can think of, and that's the zone file. In that zone file, you will add zone records. RECORD. RECORD. So you add records, zone records to that zone file corresponding to every domain, or for which you have a, so you have a domain name, domain.com, which will have a name server, and then in that name server will be a file called the zone file, and in that zone file you will add records. And there are several types of records. There are records of the type, what is that? This one. So hold on, I think I lost my text wrangler. So here in this window, I'm going to make it big and see if I can make the font a little bigger so you can see properly. Are you able to see the font, or is it too small, too big, or what?
Too small.
Too small. I'm making big. Hold on. So font view, text display, show fonts, and that should make it big. 24 is good. Maybe 36. Yeah, 36 is good. So here in this domain, you have a name server, and then for inside the name server is a zone file, and in that zone file we have entries. We have entries called zone records, and we will have the zone record of type A, type CNAME, type MX, type TXT, type SPF, type DKIM, and type SRV, and then goes on and on. The variety of different types of records for every domain. So for a domain that you get from a company that you buy the domain for, you have to have a name server, which is the line number 5 that I'm highlighting right now, that line. And in that name server will be a zone file created for you already. All you need to do is add zone records, and we'll have to add A record, and CNAME record, and MX record, and TXT record, and SPF, and all that. How do they look like? They look like this. Let me show you. The dig, my domain, and my domain, and then I'll find out my A record. What is my A record for this domain? Actually, the right way to look for is actually that domain. I want to find out the A record for that domain, and boom, and I get the IP address corresponding to the A record in the answer section. So my question was, what is the A record? I got the answer. The A record is pointer to this IP address. What does that mean? It means that A records are actually a name pointing to a number. Right? This was a name, BEA Cloud Genius, and there was an IP address here. Right? So it's a name to number mapping. It is similar to, you go to the White House. Right? If you say go to whitehouse.gov, you know where to go, and you go exactly that location by the name. But in real life, people don't visit this site without a computer, right? If you just say somebody, hey, go to the White House, where do you think they will go?
To the White House.
Yeah, they will go to the 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, right?
Right.
So that is the number corresponding to the name called White House. And this association between a name to a number is done by the post office. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so similarly, we have this A record keeping the name to number mapping. And this is the post office that keeps that track of, if you go to that name, where it's supposed to be landing, which IP address. Got that? That's a simple concept. Name to number, A record. Questions? Examples? It will be something like, Anthony is the name, and his social security number is 999999999. Something like that. Or another name, Nilesh, and his social security number is 123123123. That's a name to number relationship. The same exact idea is applied in this context. We have a name and a number. A number is IP address. And
so if each name has a different IP address, and doesn't an IP address directly addresses a box?
Yes, correct. And so that actually is a box. This thing you have here, this one is actually a real box somewhere. And that is what you visit when you type this URL.
Oh, it's not your box. It's the box that name server, whoever's handling that.
No, no, it is my box. I'll show you where it is. Let me go there and show it to you. So DigitalOcean, there's a box in the DigitalOcean. I'm going to log in and show it to you. So here I'm logging in right now. My login process is a little complex, so pardon, bear with me. I have to have a double check so that nobody can randomly log in. And so I have to have another token generated. And this is a protection security method that I apply. And so because we are using it for real business, not just for fun, I'll show you the IP address. I hope the token succeeds. Yes. And so here I have a bunch of machines running. And if you match that IP address, is actually the same 242 at the end that you see here. And that is the machine that you visit through your browser when you type this. So it is exactly in my control, in my domain, and is sitting as a droplet in this DigitalOcean. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the relationship between an A record. You understood the A record part, did you? It's a name to number mapping. Got it?
Yep.
Let's look at the other type of record now, CNAME. And in that record, I think somebody is pinging me again to come in, so I'm going to invite them. Invite. And so here the association between a CNAME is like, I'll give you an American example. So you have this guy called Robert. And you know what, in the US, they don't like to call the full expanded name Robert. Instead, they'll call him Bob. And you may not be aware, or maybe you're aware, but Bob is a short form for Robert. And so similarly, you can have Chandrasekhar Raj, long South Indian name. You can call him Raj. So you have these, simpler names in Chandrasekhar Ramalingam Raju. You can call him Raj, right? I cannot even write that long name here, but think of a long Indian name and simplify it to Raj. That's the idea behind a CNAME. Now let's see how it actually works out. I will open up another example. And in there, I will show you something that is a long, complex name. So here, watch this. This long name. What is that thing? It is running some machine somewhere in on the internet. So on my Amazon account. So I'm going to go to that bottom of the screen, and in there I will say, this. It's so difficult for me to say this. Is it easy to say this long name, line number 23? It's hard. How do I communicate to somebody that, my EC2 machine is actually called EC2-54- blah, 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 and you tell them on the phone? How do you do that? It's kind of hard, right? People don't talk like that. People they like to talk, call this machine Bob. Okay, go to Bob, I get it. Or even more realistic, it'll be bob.cloudjared.com. It's at least simpler. Or maybe call it www.jared.com. This www is just a CNAME. It's a easy reference to something more complex that is hard to say. So now you understand the idea of a CNAME?
Indeed.
To simplify a longer name into a simpler name, like Bob and Robert. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next one.
So it's just an alias then, huh?
Yes, exactly. It is actually called a CNAME. It's called canonical name or alias. That's how the full name is. And this thing is called address record. And by the way, this next one, can you guess what it will be?
Mail.
Mail exchange record. And so let's talk about email, how email flows. And I'm going to draw a picture. Let's say, this is Nilesh here. And I'm going to send an email to Kiran. So Kiran is in India. And I'm here in Sammamish. And so I'm sitting in my office and I have this, iPad here. and Kiran has his iPad here. And Kiran has a email address, which is something.somebody.com, right? Probably it's, in this case, it's gmail.com. And so he has Kiran at gmail.com. That's his email address. And for simplicity, my email address is whatever it is, so we don't have to make it. And so you know my email address, you know his email address also. That's understood. So I am going to send an email, which means I'm going to write something and then tag it to go to Kiran at gmail.com. And then this email goes out of my iPad. It goes through the protocol called Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. And that protocol looks at this email address and says, you know what is this part, the g.com, is it gmail.com? Aha, okay, let me see then. Where should the mail go for this g.com? And so it finds out the MX record for that domain. For this domain, it will find out what the MX record is, and it will actually do that command which I did here, which is dig, like this. And so dig, and then gmail.com, whatever you have, followed by MX. And that will give you, the answer section will give you all these locations where the email should go. The first time is the lowest number, it goes the number 5, which is the lowest number in highest priority. Then it tries that box. If that box is down, it goes to this box, number 10. If that box is also down, it goes to number 20. If that box is also down, it goes to number 30. And if that box is down, it goes to number 40. And if everything is down, it just waits and retries next day. That's how mail flows, right? So it has to go to some box, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boxes in line in the MX record mentioned. This email has to then forward it to these boxes. And who these boxes are, they're actually Google machines. So they are Google machines, so next time they'll just be sitting here in the Google's mail servers. And when Kiran wants to use his iPad will automatically go and read from his Gmail account and bring the email down for him to view. That's how the send and receive process works. It is based on MX records. So for any email being sent to, say, CLOUDGENI.US, if that's the email address, say Nilesh at, so let's say that's the address. So you want to send an email to this email address, the computer on your side will identify the domain and then try to find its MX records. And let's do that. So we will have, oops, typing mistake. And more typing mistake. And then here you see that my domain, which is this, and the MX records are Google. They also go to Google because I'm hosting on Google. And my email, as you may have seen, looks like it looks like in my email. If you look at my email, I'll show you how my email looks like. You may have seen it, by the way, by now. It looks like I actually go to gmail.com and it looks like Gmail because it is hosted on Google. And I don't have to go to gmail.com. I can also go to other names, such as, and in this case, it looks like Google, right? Does it look like Google to you?
It does.
Mm-hmm.
That on the top there is this picture which is not Google. Do you understand that, right? Mm-hmm. And then I have control panel that shows manage this domain. And so there are details behind it which actually take you to the backside of managing the company account, how many users are there, and company profile, and apps, and device management, and admin roles, and a bunch of other things that you will also get as soon as you understand these things and start using them. We'll get to that. Get to the screen pretty soon. Having said, your email will look at the MX records and actually send it to Google. And when I connect through my iPad to Google, I can actually grab my email because it sits in Google and I'm paying them money per user per month. and that's how the email knows that any email that goes to cloudgenie.us actually belongs to me and my employees and my folks that work with me, and so they are able to grab that email directly from Google servers because it's a paid service, right?
Yes.
Next one, the TXT record. It is a simple way to identify something that a place to write some numbers, a place to write some strings and alphanumeric characters. That's pretty much it is. Then we have two other types of records. They are related to email. I think I have a dog that's very noisy. I'm sorry about that. So the two records, SPF and DKIM, we will deal with them when we deal with the email part in just a few, but I'll explain them a little later. These guys. And there are more types that we may not be needing for the purpose of the this exercise that we are doing. So having understood that, I think what I want to ask you is our first goal is that you got a domain.com and you bought it, and so you need to now go to that company google.com free trial and ask them, hey, can I mount my domain on your machines and have your email, calendar, contacts, address book, collaboration, sharing, document sharing, everything available, visible to me as my company, and also to my employees that work with me on this domain. And if they say yes, then they have to verify you. How do we know that you are indeed who you claim to be? How do we know you are the rightful owner to domain.com? And they have to verify that. So that verification happens by way of some secret they'll give you, and they'll ask you to put a TXT record. And when you put the TXT record in your domain, in your zone file, when you put that, then they will go and verify. And once the domain is verified, it means that you are the rightful owner for this domain. And say for example, I'll claim that I have apple.com as my company, and I want to run it on Google. Google will say, okay, fine, take this string and put this as a TXT record in the zone file for apple.com. Can I do it? I cannot. I don't have control. For a domain that I do not own, I cannot modify the zone file. I cannot get verified. But if you have the domain that you got, which is not apple.com, but you bought it, the company will let you modify the zone file here. And you can put that TXT record and have Google verify. Once it is verified, the next step is to add mail exchange records into your zone file, and then email works. That's the exercise, the first step. So are we ready for that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So what we need to do is go to that link, and in there you have a link for at 5:59 p.m. I am typing in the chat window, and that's where you will find it. 5:59 p.m. today. There is a link to google.com work app business. You see that? Yep. I'm going to open it up again on my screen also. And so what I would like to do is to ask you to basically get started. So click the green button at the bottom. So this 30-day for free, wherever it says free 30 days, that's where you will click. And so let you use this for 30 days for free, and no credit card needed and no software download required. Understood? So
yes.
Click the green button where it says 30-day, look for the 30-day mention, and then click. And then you basically describe who you are, what your domain is, and proceed. And it will give you a text record. So for a case of example, what I would like to do is to ask one of you to share their screens, and I'll stop sharing my screen, and you walk us through what you're doing so others can follow along and watch you do it. And essentially at the end of this next 5 to 10 minutes, you should be able to successfully verify your domain by putting basically by doing what Google says. They'll tell you, take the string, put it as a TXT record in your zone file, is your domain company, and let us know when we'll verify it. So who's going to volunteer sharing the screen that you have? And begin. Let us walk you through with, say, CloudJared or anybody who has a domain ready and a control panel with GoDaddy or something.
I think I already did that. I did the email where it sets up to your domain.
Okay, then
Not
show.
sure if it's the
Yeah,
same
if you did it
thing.
already, awesome. That's good. We'll just show it. So show it off. If you did it already, that's awesome. Beautiful, by the way. So go ahead, please show. I'm going to stop sharing, and I'd like you to share, please.
Okay. Okay. 1 second. Okay.
So here we have Jared sharing his screen, and you will find that Jared, yeah, you have it done already, apparently. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So go ahead and on the upper, which email is this? Is this your personal email or Gmail or?
This is yeah. It's on Gmail, but it Jared Semmingson at cloudjared.com has been created, so it just like routes to my Gmail.
Right. And so right now I would
Yeah.
like you to just go to the upper section where you have your picture on the very top. Click on that and see if you can switch over to the other email account, which is your email, your new email account, Jared Semmingson at that one. Click. And so this will take you to the company account called Cloud Jared. And here,
Okay.
thanks for setting up. Do not set up billing. You don't need to. And so you are way ahead of you're way ahead of everybody. That's awesome. So click on the pin wheel on the upper right corner, upper right pin wheel. Yeah, that one, and say manage this domain. And it will walk you through some of the steps that you need to do. And this password only you know, nobody else does. And you typed it in, and we saw you typing, but we
Okay.
didn't know what the password was. Then next one is that we have to find out how will you next. So it is actually walking you through setting up. So it asks you
Okay.
to start setup, and so you click. And what we are essentially doing is you can actually add users later. Right? Domain is verified successfully. So you already did that step. Wow. Okay. Wow. Beautiful.
I think hey Neelish, it's showing us you rather than his screen.
So you should click on Jared.
Next.
Click on the word Jared at the bottom. That should show you
Gotcha.
him or his screen. And so you can add your team members later. For now, you can go next.
So since we all clicked on Jared, is he being his
Whatever
his laptop is being recorded?
The way it records is whatever I see, it gets recorded. And so I'm seeing Jared's screen right now, which means it is going to get recorded.
Okay.
Okay. Can everybody see it?
I think so.
Yes.
Okay.
And also, I'm making sure that I
Cool.
can see so it gets recorded properly. And so I have found that problem in which the handwriting was not getting recorded in video. And so we have managed to share the entire PDF file with my handwriting notes in a folder, which you already have access to. And Jared, please proceed. And let's finish this. The last step I think you have is, nice job, you all done, close setup. So your email flow all nice, and you have set up MX records all done, close setup, and TXT record all done. So you should be able to check your check your Cloud Jared email coming and going with other people. Like for example, you can send it to me, I can send it to you, and things like that. And that becomes
And
your
then you just
you just change back to Gmail right now.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's how you change to Gmail, but you don't need to. You can choose. You have both choices available. So now you are switching back, I think, to cloudjared.com to the admin page. Back in the administration tab for Cloud Jared, your domain. And so I think since you already have done all of it up to email, getting it to work, let's see if somebody else can also walk us through the part where it involves a TXT record and getting everybody else on the same page. So who will that be? You have, what you need to do is go to that Gmail link and then click on fill the form, make sure that we give you a TXT record, you add the txt record in your zone file with your name server, and at that time, I'll help you and walk you through as you proceed. If there is a volunteer, please take it on.
Yeah, go. All right, Neelish, if you want to walk me through I'll
Yes,
give it a
sir.
shot.
So I will do that. I would like you to start sharing your screen, and I am projecting you so that you get recorded. And also, please click on Anthony's name at the bottom so that you can see him.
Hang on one sec. Let me get it shared.
Yep. So in your case, we see your screen, and we see that you're trying to type your name, business. So it's a very short form. All you need to do here is give them your current Gmail, and then proceed. The current Gmail that you currently have, markjones@gmail.com. Give it the name of your company, and Game Insight. Number of employees right now, maybe 1 or 2, whatever you have.
Yeah.
The phone number is good to get for backup verification in case they want to call you. They will probably not call.
Next.
Next. And then here they'll ask you for a domain name. Do you already own a domain? Yes, I already have. So use the domain I already purchased. Click, and then you type the domain name. Otherwise, they'll sell you a domain name right here, right now, for $8 a year. But you probably got it cheaper.
Yeah.
Yep. So gameinsight.info, and that's a good domain. And you click, and you proceed ahead, and then you type your username. So you can here put Anthony or whatever you like, and or AJ is good. And here you give it a good, decent password.
Yeah, I'll just put a random one for now, and then I'll fix it later.
Make sure you remember your password, otherwise you get.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Do not forget this password, and then you have to agree and understand, and don't receive the special offers. You don't need them, and then accept a sign up. As soon as you attempt to sign up, it will say password has to be more complex than this. And so how do you deal with password management, right? That's a problem that many people have. How do you deal with that problem?
Again?
How do you deal with remembering 17,000 passwords in your life?
Oh, I do it?
Yeah.
I have, have them on a spreadsheet somewhere.
Okay.
That's the only way I could remember them.
After you're done, I'll tell you another trick to manage your 17,000 passwords.
Perfect.
And it's simple. So I accept and continue. Go ahead. Proceed.
Okay.
Hey, Niku, can you hear me okay? Niku? And so you're trying to access Google Admin, but if you're not valid logged in, sign into one of the existing accounts.
What's this telling me?
You need to use a Google Apps account to log into Google Admin Console. You're trying to access Google Admin for games. Sign into one of the existing games. What does that mean? Did you ever create? Did you just buy the domain?
This one I just bought. So maybe it's not up and running yet.
Probably, or maybe somebody else had this domain and they had a Google Apps for Work account already. That's what it sounds like.
Do a dig.
Yeah, I'm going to do a dig. And so I'm going to do that dig, hold on, let's find out. So the gameinsight.info. Let's see what comes up. So I'm going to dig gameinsight.info and MX. And it is with GoDaddy, and it is set up for email already with GoDaddy. So click the sign in button and type in your new email address, the new email and new password.
So we do that dig command on the virtual machine?
That's correct. In your workstation, you will type the dig command in the
right.
terminal. That's how it works.
This one?
In the virtual machine, not the real computer.
I'm sorry. Where do you want me to go, Neelish?
Nothing. You keep going. I was answering John about where do you dig. And so you have to type the new password that you have and say sign in and see what happens.
I don't know. Holy smokes.
I think you'll have to probably do a little extra step to take control of the domain from someone else.
Okay.
That's what it sounds like. But type your password and see if it actually lets you in. If it doesn't let you in, we have another problem to deal with. I think your domain was owned by somebody who had their Gmail account, their services already with this company. That's what it looks like. Try signing and see what happens. And so, yeah, get a text message, unusual activity, enter your phone number.
Yep.
In the meanwhile, if you have purchased a domain, I would suggest that you proceed and follow along the same steps as we will do it with Anthony here. And so you should be able to follow along and get your domain services running in the next few minutes, or maybe up to 10 minutes. You should have your emails working already.
Okay, we all get started then.
So yeah, in this section we have set up on your own because we don't need a Google advisor. We go next and we go, yeah, so you read these steps, the 3 steps here. Set up a business account, add people to your Google account, and verify your domain and set up email. That's the step. So we want the blue button, which is a common button for all. And we just click that button, and you will have to give your people. And so you say, only one person right now, and proceed. Or I added all users already, so at the bottom. So by the way, Anthony, you already exist.
Perfect.
Yeah, you already exist, so you don't need another Anthony. And so you say, yeah, I added all, proceed. And so now it says verify your domain and set up email. And so it will tell you how to verify. And you click that verify button. Actually, we detected that if you're having trouble, it'll ask you to put your GoDaddy login name and password. It'll go to GoDaddy, put a TXT record in the domain control panel, come back and say verified successfully. So it will automatically happen with this tool.
I'm sorry, say again, Neelish?
So you type in your GoDaddy login password. The one you just used to buy the domain, the same one.
Yeah, no. I'm not sure that they made me establish an account. I think I was able to buy as just a new customer. But I will.
In that case, you have an email with a customer number.
Okay, I do.
And so you click the verify button to verify your email address. That will help.
No, it's right here. I've got it.
And so you have a customer number right there on the screen. I saw it.
Did you see it?
Yeah, I did.
There it is. There it is. There it is.
And you know your password or something. You grab the customer number from there, and
the order number.
No, that's not the order number. It's the customer number is what we are looking for. You have to go to the My Account tab, My Account button at the top.
Yep.
And that's somewhere there. You will have a customer number. So grab that, and you probably know your password. So go back to the last tab where you type in the verify button. Then put in your. Yeah, make sure you log in on the GoDaddy directly also successfully. If you log into GoDaddy, the next step with Google is very simple.
See if it works. Hopefully it does.
It did. Good.
Okay.
Go back to Google and then tell them that, you know what, I can log in. And so that's beautiful. So the last tab, the last one, set up Google for Work, click the blue verify button, it will create a pop-up. And that pop-up is probably hiding behind your screen, so you minimize the screen and get to that screen. And there it is. And so here we are looking at your customer number, and we do not know your password yet.
Let's see.
So once you log in, what Google is doing at the back side is connecting with your domain records and verifying that you are indeed the rightful owner of this domain. And when you do, it will come back and say, you know what, boom, you're done. And so that's what just happened. You can go back to your domain control panel in GoDaddy, and in a few minutes it should say, you can close this one. I think you can close this one.
Close this one?
Or leave it alone. Go back to Google and stay with Google and see what it does. See what it says. Verify, allow once, and estimated time. So it will take a few minutes for them to go and basically verify on the back end of GoDaddy that are you the rightful owner of the domain. And what they're really doing is putting in a verification code in your TXT record and checking it with their servers with a dig command to verify the TXT record they put. And that's how they will validate whether you are the rightful owner for the domain. And once the verification completes, then they will let you add MX records. And then, actually, if the verification completes, they'll just add MX records for you automatically. And then you move to the next step, which is your email works. As simple as that. And if you are not using GoDaddy, then there are other methods, which is more of a manual step. So I'm going to actually walk away from Anthony's screen and showing you my screen right now. And my screen is coming up. In my screen, you will see that I'm going to describe this. This GoDaddy has tremendously automated the whole thing, in so much so that it almost abstracts away all the technical details from a normal user. And that is kind of bad because I want you to know these things. And so it just abstracted the whole thing about TXT verification, about adding MX records to the zone file. So all these entries that need to be there, they just were hidden from view, from plain sight. And they're doing it for us on the back end, which is nice for the end user, but not good for really understanding and learning. So I'm going to break it into pieces and show it to you, because Google is, how would I say, making it easy for the end user in the process, not helping us understand it, which is bad. And so I'm going to show you where exactly these records are saved and how do you actually make edits, make modifications to it. So I'm going to go to my name control panel, which is kind of sort of like GoDaddy, but not really, because it's a different company. I use this company, Amazon Web Services, to manage my name records. If you look at the bottom left corner, this one, there is a thing called Route 53. And that is where you manage your DNS and domain name. And your zone file is actually sitting right here. And in that Route 53, the name Route 53 comes from the fact that DNS protocol uses port number 53. And so they have called it, the service name is called Route 53. It's a play on this idea. So since DNS once works on port 53, all the queries happen on this port. So they labeled their service as Route 53. It's a nice way to say that, we are DNS. It's like, email flows on port number 25, or used to flow on port number 25 in older days. And so Microsoft has a service called Port 25 as a podcast about something. So they just make play on these numbers based on what the protocol does. So that was about Route 53, which is similar to what you see in GoDaddy. And in this case, I have this zone file hosted here. And this is how my zone file looks like. And at the very top, you have this MX entry, which is all these records. That's what I have put. And that tells everybody that email for Cloud Genius needs to go to Google. And so in actual scenario, you will actually go and make modifications in this box here for the mail exchange record type, and make any changes you want to do in this window, in this bucket, in this little box, and change the value. And if I save the record right now, my email will stop working. So I'm not changing it. But you get the idea. Similarly, there is this record called TXT. So I'm going to pull up all the TXT records, and one of the first ones that they need to do is this site verification tool. And so they will give you this string of characters to put in your domain as a TXT record against your name so that they can verify you. And this is Google site verification. And the string of characters and numbers that they want you to put in the TXT record for your domain. And that's how I have done it. and there are multiple things to do in the context of domain key and SPF and DKIM, and so we'll go through that once our email starts working. So back to your screen. Do you have it up and running now, Anthony?
Let me check. Yep.
Yeah, so your domain is verified, which is nice, and you can click next. And at this moment, I'm going to send you an email, and I'm going to send Jared also an email and point out a very subtle difference between what your email is and between what my email looks like. Very, very subtle, but a very pertinent. Now, you do not have to add a plan. Don't purchase anything. You can say cancel and proceed. And you can start setup and finish off that setup part, which should be very simple. So say next, and you're all done, basically. And so then it's verified setup billing. We are not doing the billing part. We are essentially effectively done. At this moment, we can go to gmail.com in the same window, and it will open your new company email.
Say what? Where do you want me to go?
Go to gmail.com in the same window, and it will open up your new Gmail. Then you click on your picture at the upper right corner, and then switch the account to Anthony Jones, the next one. And this is your corporate email for Game Insight info. And you have 3 new emails. From here, I would like you to send me an email and send Jared an email. Jared's email address is jared@cloudjared.com, and my email address is you already know. Is that right, Jared?
Oh, mine's Jared Semingson at cloudjared.com.
So it's Jared Semingson at cloudjared.com.
I spell that right?
Yep.
I think so. And so here you send him an email and send me also an email. And I will reply to this email.
What's yours, Neelish? What's your email?
Another point of security which is relevant in the context of what we are discussing. And then I will describe how do you address that issue about completing email security. So you test and then put my email address also there, right there in the same email.
Yeah, what's your email?
Neelish@cloudgenie.us. And you will cloudgeni.us. And as soon as I receive your email, I'll quickly reply. And when I do, testing and send. And
Yep,
so,
I got it.
yeah, you got it, and I may not have it yet, but I'm going to review and refresh my page and see if I get my email in. Not yet. Yeah, I got it. So we got the email from Anthony Jones, and I'm going to show this subtlety in that email that I.
You there, Neelish? Neelish?
I don't think
We
so.
lost Neelish.
Okay. Where is Neelish?
No,
He'll be back in a second.
he dropped off. He's coming back. Here we are.
Yeah, I accidentally clicked the wrong tab and closed out the Hangout, which is kind of. And so I am back. What I'm going to do now is show you my email, which I now have. And in that email, you will find out sort of a very, very important characteristic. This email, you look at this from Anthony Jones, and I'm going to click the triangle here to show details. And you will find that this email was mailed by gameinsight.info. And that aspect comes from a record called SPF, or Sender Policy Framework. Now let me reply this email, and I'll say hi, and send the hi message back to you guys. And I would like to ask you to please show me your screen, and same way, click on that tab and then show me. Here it says mailed by cloudgenie.us. In the other case, it was mailed by gameinside.info. That mailed by, even though you are actually using Google servers, it is correctly identifying itself as being mailed by gameinside.info. And that's a security precaution available to us in form of SPF. It is not sunblock protection. It is Sender Policy Framework. And so this is the method that you use, and I'll describe this in just a few. And so I would like to see the screen showing my email you receive, and that's what I am waiting for. So one of you guys should show your screens, and then you should see your screen. And in there you will have a message coming from Jared. Let's see, did you receive my email, Jared?
Not yet.
You got it, right? So yeah, we have Anthony's received it. Anthony, if you can click on the little triangle right next to Jared Semingson and click, and you will see that there is another characteristic that I added. It is not only mailed by cloudgenie.us but also signed by cloudgenie.us. You see that, do you?
Yep.
And that characteristic is a positive identification that my company is the sending company behind it. And that characteristic comes from this other method, which is called DKIM. And I will describe that now. So having understood these things, if you send an email, I do not see the signed by, but when I send the email to you, we see the signed by signature. And that aspect was not set up properly by Google yet. So we will do that by hand. Okay? We'll do that part so that we will understand the reasons behind it and then make use of it. So first, we'll go to a white sheet of paper. And in that sheet of paper, I will start projecting my screen, which is, here it comes. And so there we go, projecting my screen. And back in my handwriting. So we are talking about two things. One of them was mailed by. And this essentially is an indicator of who the sender company is. And you're actually using Gmail boxes or Google boxes, but that's not what shows. It pretends to be gameinside.info. Good. That's what we want. Everybody should know that the email actually is being sent by the sender, not Google. If you look at an email sent through Gmail, it will say mailed by Google and signed by Google. But that's not what we want. We want our company. So we will like to make sure that this mailed by signature, mailed by indication comes along, and that happens through the SPF protocol. This SPF actually is another string that we have to put in our control panel that is here, that you see, and it shows up something like this. And so here, in your control panel also, you should be able to see similar strings. No, this is a DKIM string. I want to see the SPF string. Where is the SPF string? Hold on. Let me see the SPF string. SPF. That's the string. So let's go take that string and copy it in a notepad and expand it and try to understand its meaning. So I'm going to go to this writing, and in here I will then paste the entire SPF record that I have. Very long one, so I'm going to split it into parts. At the bottom you see in line number 20 that I'm splitting here now. So the first one is indicator that I am using multiple parts of that record. And I'm going to split that into multiple pieces, smaller digestible components. And you see that I'm still not done yet. So there it goes, and then there. So there are so many different little elements in that longer record that begins in line number 20 and goes all the way through end of line number 26. That is what I had put in my record for TXT. That indicates that I am asking any email that I happen to send while sitting on Google servers. You treat that email as if it is coming from cloudgenie.us. And same thing When I am sitting on mandrillapp.com and I'm sending emails to other people, treat that email as if it is coming from cloudgenie.us. Similarly, when I'm sitting on zendesk.com and doing customer support and services, emails coming from zendesk.com should also be treated as emails coming from cloudgenie.us. And so this is a little bit more complex than what is needed to begin with. So in your examples, you probably do not use Mandrill and you probably do not use Zendesk. And so I'm going to delete that. And the lines that you need to have, which you, by the way, already have. So that's how we were able to see the mailed by entry, is because your account in GoDaddy has this line already included. I can tell you without looking. You will find this line as a TXT record in your GoDaddy. Check and tell me if it is there. And this line helps people understand that when you use Google servers, you treat that email as if it is coming from gameinsight.info or as if it is coming from Jared Cloud or cloudjared.com. And you can find this line entry in your TXT file in your zone records. And you should be able to see that, like I have this entry. I have this entry here in my zone file. You see that entry at the very top. And I have expanded it to include other services that I use, such as Mandrill app or Zendesk. Now this Zendesk comes into play when I have this site. When somebody signs in and say, actually I should not sign in, that doesn't make sense. But when somebody signs in and clicks the help button, when you report a problem, make a suggestion, ask a question. Here you can say, cool dude, and says hello at cooldude.com. How are you? How are you doing? And that somebody types in the form in this website, and I submit. I mean, that cool dude submits it. What happens as a consequence is I get an email, and actually it's an alias email. So many people get that same email that basically says something happened. Somebody came on your website and did something. So that updates will show up here. It's a web form somebody filled up. So I should get a notification saying that, you know what, something happened. And not just that, but it will also open a support case. And so there is probably a case opened up somewhere that's probably going to show up pretty soon. And when I respond to that case, you will find that the emails coming from Zendesk.com appear to be coming from cloudgenie.us. And so even though I am actually going to be on this cloudgenie.zendesk.com website where customer support happens, and when I sign in here and sign in again, I can actually see that somebody came in and said, what is that? The ticket did not file properly or what? Well, the ticket did not come yet, but when it comes, I should be able to respond to it. And when I do, that email that goes back to that cool dude will go as if it is coming from cloudgenie.us, not zendesk.com. And that's the point. The point being, we are showing that we are indeed sending the email, even though we may be using other services such as Zendesk or Mandrill app or Google or some other thing. It's a pretend game that we are playing with by putting this record. It's pretend, right? So that's mailed by, and it's the standardized string. Did you find that entry in your MX records, by the way? If you don't know how to find that MX entry, I can walk you through as to where do you find it.
Yeah, I don't know where it is. You'll have to walk me through it.
Where it is, I'll show you where it is. So you go to your start sharing your desktop, and in your desktop you should be able to. I'll be able to tell you where exactly to go to GoDaddy.com, and there you will find an entry corresponding to your text record containing a SPF entry. So go to GoDaddy, which is your second tab, tab number 2 or number 3, already logged in. Number 3, already logged in. And there you go to your account, manage my domains, in the very first, on the upper left, manage my domains.
Yep.
And in the domain control panel, there will be a place to log in again. Yeah. And you will find that there is a spot in there to add TXT records and other types of records, and Google already added for you. And so you go to click on gameinsights.info, and somewhere in there will be a domain control zone file, right there, zone file. You click on the zone file, and then you scroll down a little, and you will find that there is MX records already put in place for Google at the bottom of your screen.
These?
Yeah, these are MX records that Google put when you logged in to them. They came in backdoor and put the entry for you.
That's like backdoor.
Right? They did through API. And so they also put a TXT record for site verification and another TXT record for SPF. You see that at the bottom of the screen there.
Yep.
It is exactly the same that I showed you on my screen. Right?
Yep.
Okay. Now, let us see my screen. I'm going to share it again now. And so I will start sharing my screen and show you the dig result of a dig command on your domain. So I'm going to go to terminal, clear, and here I'll say dig. And what's the name of the game? Inside.info. Is that the name?
Yep.
And TXT. I'm going to find out your TXT records and see them right there, both of them. There is a TXT record entry for Google site verification with a string, and another entry for SPF record like this, which is the exact same thing that I had for you here. And so that's how you operate a TXT record and make sure that any services you use from another company appears to be coming from your company. So this is a method of projecting and pretending to be you, even though you don't actually manage that server yourself. You're using them. It's a service, right?
Yep.
Okay. Next one. Next one we'll talk about is the other record called DKIM, which is essentially verification of signature. And for that, I would like one of you guys to project your screen and let us go and look at the domain control panel, where you have the entry to create a DKIM signature. And so here, you need to be able to show me your screen where your apple is looking really good, by the way, Anthony.
Thank you. I missed dinner.
So we are looking at Jared's screen, and in Jared's computer, what we are seeing is that we will need to find out what is the place to create a DKIM signature, and we have to add that entry in Jared's GoDaddy account. And when you do that successfully and you verify that, after that, anytime Jared sends an email, that it not only shows that it is mailed by Jared Cloud, but also signed by Jared Cloud. That is what you will see once the verification of DKIM signature completes. And so you hang on to this screen, save your password, and get so that's good. Stand by on this screen, go to the other email, the second tab number 2, and there you click on the pinwheel in the upper, click, and then manage this domain. And in here, you have to go to Google Apps and then look for Gmail as an app, the apps, and then look for the email app or Gmail app. And in there are Google Apps, 8 of them. You'll find out the Gmail app. And click on that. And then you have to go to the area where you are at the bottom, somewhere in advanced settings. Oh, actually, there was one right above. You change the interface all the time. So go back a step and just two from the bottom, two above from the bottom, authenticate email. That's the step you need to follow along. And here, if you read carefully, it says the domains you select will use the DKIM domain keys identified mail protocol for authenticating outgoing email. So right now, your status is not authenticating email. Understood? And so for that authentication to happen, you need to have a new record created. By clicking the blue button, you generate a new record. And then you say generate. And then it will tell you what to do. You have to go to the DNS host, create a new text record with that signature at the bottom, with the text record name as google._domain key. That's the name. And so google._domain key is the name of the TXT record, and the value is that all that blah 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 DKIM, all that. So that the entire thing is the value, and that string of the top google.domain key is the name. So the name and value, the two they're a pair. So you have to get the name part first. Double click and copy. And go to GoDaddy and create a new text record there. You're going to go to domains and then manage your domain, and then in there somewhere there will be a zone file edit. So you should click on your domain name and do the zone file. It will be awesome if you can save your password on the top so it remembers the password. And then you create a new entry. At the bottom somewhere says create a new TXT record. So there has to be a method of creating a new record somewhere by saying +sign or something. So here you want to add a new domain. You have to add a new entry here essentially. And where is that? Scroll down, look for a place to add a new entry in the TXT records. Because that's where we have to create a new entry. Is it at the very bottom? No. Okay. Try the classic DNS manager. So there is a classic at the bottom.
Okay, sorry, I was muted there. Okay, let me go down to the bottom here.
So there's an orange or magenta colored button called Use Classic DNS.
Use classic.
In the purple.
Purple.
Right.
Purple.
Oh.
Colorblind. So here you should be add the plus button and create a new record. Plus more. See if you can do that.
Oh, okay.
And check zone records. No errors in the zone file. Good. Now how do you add a new record? So scroll down or up somewhere and there will be a place to add a new record. There is an edit new record or something like that.
A little further down, under text, TXT.
What's
Below
that?
TXT.
What's that blue thing?
Click the bulk edit button.
That one?
No, it doesn't sound like. Doesn't sound
You must
like.
verify.
Okay, it tells you it's read-only access. To access this functionality, you must verify a registration email.
Yeah.
And so you have to. Did you get an email to verify your email on your regular old Gmail?
Yeah, I must have.
Yeah, you must have missed that. So action required, like at the bottom there, that one. Yes, click on that one. And that's
Okay.
And that's why the buttons are hiding. So now your account is verified, go to your account, and then let you modify it now. And so that's good. So refresh your page, and that will show up a button to edit something. Add a record.
Okay. Okay.
Now we
The
get
A.
not a quick add here, but add a TXT record. So this will add a record. You don't want to add an A record. You want to add a TXT record, which is at the bottom. A quick add. And here you put the name, which is Google._domain key. So just paste it. And then you grab the other portion, put that in the TXT value, and Google will tell you what to put. You grab begin from no, don't do like that. Don't do like that.
Oh, not that one.
This is the right one, but don't copy like that.
Okay.
The right idea. You have to be very careful in copying. Begin from the B, go all the way to the vector V, and then
Right
copy.
there.
So don't get
Get the spaces and stuff.
Yeah, we don't want unnecessary things. We
I
just
see.
want a clean copy. And so we want a clean copy, and that's how you do it.
Okay.
Then you actually, the proper way to get a clean copy is to actually store it in a notepad or text edit somewhere in the intermediate step, and then copy from there and then put it here. So get
Okay.
clean copy. Sometimes HTML characters come along, some other trash comes along. We don't want that.
Uh-huh.
Okay, for now, you just save zone file. So click the save zone file button, black color,
Oh, I see.
then say OK,
Okay.
and then say OK again,
Okay.
and it says wait for 48 hours. So
Yeah,
That's how
just
it-
like mine. Just like mine is.
And so, what is that actually adding?
So it added a DKIM record right there. This-
Okay.
Yeah, it added that entry, and you should be now able to go back to go back to Google, and there
Go back to.
admin console and said, you know what, Google, I did what you said, and so now start authentication, please. So there's a button.
Oh, start. Okay.
And so it will say, yeah, you're good, you're done. You see, it is authenticating now. What does that
Okay.
mean? So it will show you a green check mark. There we go, authenticating email.
Uh-huh.
Means that it found your record and is now put your signature there. So the TXT value is your DKIM signature. And so next time going forward, you send an email from cloudjared.com that people will receive signed by, not just mailed by. So now reply to this hello and say hey and send. And then when I receive that email, I will show it to you that you now show as if the mail is not only mailed by CloudJared, but also signed by CloudJared. And let us see that, just like that. And here it is. Not this email, this one. Yes, this one. So here see that mailed by CloudJared and signed by CloudJared. Now you understand this, what we just did. Now let us talk about why we did it, why it is important. The simple thing to remember here is that any other company, anybody, any person on the internet can send an email pretending to be cloudjared.com
Mhm.
and spam the heck out of everybody else.
Yes.
And if you put this protection in place, then even if they do that, then internet service providers like Google and Yahoo and Amazon, Microsoft, and all these companies that provide email services like Hotmail and Yahoo account, Gmail account, they will drop the email into thin air and make it disappear because it will not be signed by the domain. It will be not even signed by some other. I don't know who will sign it. Probably it will be a mismatch between the domain name who's signing it and the domain who is sending it, because only you can put a signature because you control the domain. And so if you put that signed by DKIM entry, it makes your domain secure. You understand that?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the idea behind this signed by concept. And the mail by was already done for you, but both are important. You will notice that this is an evolving and upcoming technology. It is not in place everywhere yet. You will find that Office 365 does not support this yet. There is no place for you to generate a DKIM entry in Office 365 that you will eventually find out. So the bottom line is, if you don't do these things, your likely chances of somebody using or misusing your domain name and spamming the heck out of some other people increase. You get the point, do you? It's a security issue that you have to worry about, where if you're setting up a new business, that you want to make sure that whatever you are or your company employees are sending, that it is actually them they are sending and not somebody in, I don't know where,
Nigeria.
Nigeria. By the way, there was going to be a Nigerian person joining this class, so we cannot be politically incorrect. Right, so we can joke about Nigerian prince and all that, but at the end of the day, there was actually going to be a Nigerian person who was about to sign up, and he said it is way too inconvenient for them because it is like 2 o'clock through 5 o'clock in the middle of the night.
Right.
That is not fair. He could not actually agree, and I'll adjust the timings for them at some point. But it is hard, really hard. So that's why I was not cracking cross-country, cross-cultural jokes, which I tend to do that all the time. But I typically avoid right now because it's an international class. And so I will not be cracking such jokes. But you know me, most of you. So, so having said, the idea is you protect your country, you protect your company, you protect your assets, you protect your reputation. And if you don't do that, yeah, we have a problem to deal with. And so that's why this concept of DKIM is important. It is evolving. Google has implemented it. Other companies are following. They're not there yet. So got it?
Yep.
Okay. I want to check with John and Kiran quickly. How are you guys doing?
Yes. Setting up the Google Apps, actually, the Gmail stuff.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
No?
No, not yet.
Okay. If you run into questions, you know what to do. I'm here and I am here all the time. Ask me a question in Slack and I will answer. Absolutely. And so let's get that completed. By the way, your headsets look nice. I heard from Jared that they sound good also. And by the way, they are really sounding good. You're not causing any audio issues. I hope there were no issues as such from your side. Do you see any issues, John? No issues with audio?
No.
Good.
No, I got some Logitech headphones with the mic.
Beautiful.
And the sound sounds better, and it just I'm back to using Google Chrome.
Okay. Yeah. I think you had some issue with the device, this audio device you had, which may be the reason for the issue, but we'll figure out that detail later. Right now, stay focused on finishing up this thing, and I'm going to change the topic a little bit, only a little bit, and then switch over to this idea, which is, so we did SPF, we did DKIM, and we understand Central Policy Framework and domain key identified mail and what's important. This corresponds to.
Share.
Sorry, I did not hear. Sorry, I did not share. Yes, sorry. Share. I forget that. Why did I forget
Nilesh,
that?
I have a question. So
Yes, sir.
these the DNS can be managed. I bought the domain at GoDaddy and I can manage it at Amazon.
You can manage it at Amazon. Amazon will charge you 40 cents per month. If you stay at GoDaddy, it's going to be free.
Okay.
So I chose to manage my domain at Amazon for a very specific reason that I would like you to know. And so as a smaller company compared to Amazon and Microsoft, I'm not that big. And so I cannot afford to run my own DNS. What does that mean? That I was actually, I'll be honest, what I was doing before. Let me go to that Amazon console here. Yeah. No, not here. Here's Amazon Route 53. Route 53, click. And so I started hosting my domain, the business domain, in this location for a simple reason. I was on another free service, and somebody did an attack on me. Distributed denial of service attack.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized that, people complaining, hey, your site will not open. What's going on? And yes, it was true that my site would not open, and I'm looking at my server, and server is all fine. Server was working just fine, and I was wondering what's going on. And then it turned out that this A record, which is a name to number relationship, which is what DNS stores, that DNS server that I was hosting before at namecheap.com for free was being attacked, distributed denial of service. And so they were getting attacked. As a consequence, my name to number resolution was not working in many countries. And so that time I realized that free is not good for business. I switched to Route 53 and paid them 40 cents per month ever since. Now this 40 cents is pretty affordable, pretty cheap, but if you don't have a serious business right now, maybe you don't have to pay. Just stay with GoDaddy is good enough. I'm not saying that best, but it's a subjective thing, right? I would argue that Amazon has more resources and more smart people than GoDaddy in managing their Route 53 services. And therefore, I tend to put a little bit more trust on and tend to pay 40 cents more than what I would otherwise do every month and put my domain in Route 53. But by the way, I just put only the business domain, not other domains I have. So other domains still are with my favorite Namecheap. Only this domain is sitting here. Bunch of other domains I have, I still keep them wherever they are. So that's the point I want to make sure that I highlight. That it is a professionally managed domain service and it is considered to be reliable, and I have had no problem since then. Okay, having said, let us do the next part, which is, now that we have our emails working, we have to go to a website called gmail.com, and that is very unprofessional, right? I would rather go to a website called mail.mycompany.com instead. What do you think?
Right.
Right? I would rather not go there. Instead, I want to go to something like and that should open up my email interface. How do you do that? Any guess? So the answer to that is I would use line number 12.
Okay.
You get this?
Yep.
That's what we want to do. So not only this, I want to do it other simple things also, like drive dot.
Okay.
And so on, right? So this way I can map, and maybe another one would be calendar.domain.com CM to Google Calendar. You see where you see my drift, where I'm heading, is to make it easy and simple for our employees to understand where to go for calendar, where to go for drive, or email, or documents, or whatever else, by simplifying the way to refer to that. As opposed to saying that, you go to gmail.com, that doesn't sound professional, doesn't sound nice, and we want people to go to our domain as opposed to Gmail, and people might get confused. And so to avoid that, we will add CNAME records. What does that mean? So Google has simplified it, all these elements, and all you need to do is basically create a CNAME entry and point it all to this domain. So the domain that Google uses, I think they will walk you through in a wizard, but I'm just trying to tell you in a quick shortcut. That's the entry you want to put in your CNAME for calendar.domain.com, docs.domain.com, drives, same entry, ghs.googlehosted.com. That one entry goes everywhere, and that's how you are able to then put an alias for your friendly name going to the appropriate service. And you can see that in this example here. And I have a bunch of other CNAMEs, but you will see this there, right? You will see here. You will see this. No, not this. This is going somewhere else. You will see this. And groups, and intranet, and library, and bunch of others. Like you see, this online.cloudgenie.us is actually an A record probably. So you see online. Where did it go? A record. Search. Yeah, it's an A record. But for CNAMEs, you have a bunch of them, like these guys. And if you sort by value, the last few, all these guys, Drive and my son's site and my Gmail and groups and intranet and library and members and newsletters and sites, they're all hosted on Google. And by putting a CNAME like that, right? You can create similar setup for yourself in your scenario by going to, again, gmail.com, in the administration console, where you will have, let's say, Anthony, on your screen. If you can please show us the Google administration console, and in there you will find a way to simplify this naming conventions. To tell your employees, you know what, just go to mail. Whatever company that you have.
Do you want me to share something, Nilesh?
GameInsight.info. Yeah, mail.gameinsight.info. Go there. It makes it easy for them to remember and looks professional. And so it's a one-step, next step to make it complete in terms of integration of services from Google. So I'm going to switch my screen over to Anthony, and Anthony will then start projecting his screen. And in that,
where do you want me to go? Holy smokes.
Google admin.
Okay.
The Google admin console in the, go to the pin wheel and manage domain. Manage this domain, and in there somewhere along the way there'll be a Gmail setup. And so go to your apps.
Here?
The apps. No, there's an app button, colorful. And then go to Gmail, Google Apps, and then Gmail. And so go to Gmail here, and that's where it will make you, if there are anything left over. I think you have DKIM is not done yet. You do that later. But you scroll back to the place where we want to find these advanced settings. Try the advanced settings and see if there is an alias to make it something like mail dot and then followed by your domain name. So yeah, there it is. Change URL. So right now, if you click the change URL, it will tell you exactly what it wants you to do, and it says custom URL. And there, it lets you choose the name you want to say. Like you can use the name mail, the word mail here, as a custom. And once you save the changes, it will ask you to do something, and that would be to create a CNAME. And it's right there at the top, step number 2. Find CNAME settings and enter the value mail, and the destination should be ghs.googlehosted.com. So you do that step in your GoDaddy, and then you say, I have completed this step after that. But first you have to go to GoDaddy and say, new entry, CNAME entry, mail, ghs.googlehosted.com in the tab number 4. You have the tab number 4 on the top is where you will find GoDaddy. And that's where you will be able to add an entry to these services. So to make it simple, to make a CNAME entry in your domain control panel, with that particular domain name you have. So tab number 4, which is saying GoDaddy domain names, that's where you will find it.
So are you telling me to go to GoDaddy, Neelish?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So click there. And actually, you know, these are logged out, so you can close out on that. You're already logged in on the very last tab, so close. And in here, you're not logged in at all. I thought you were.
No, it keeps logging me out. It's my fault.
Okay, no worries. So log in and then hope it lets you stay logged in, and then you can keep editing the game insight info, domain change, and then change your zone file. Make a new CNAME entry, and in that CNAME entry, you have an entry you want to make in the zone file for your new CNAME. And so add record.
Where's that?
Top middle.
Top middle.
Perfect, thank you.
And so here you scroll down and select the record type of CNAME, not a AAAA record, but a CNAME record. And there you say mail, and then points to ghs.googlehosted.com, and then go back to Google and say I did it.
What's this GHS dot?
Googlehosted.com.
Google Hosting Service is what it stands for.
Google hosted.
Google hosted.
Okay. That's
And
right.
say finish. And so it says your changes are not saved until you save them. So you have a red button, save. And then your zone file is updated. Then you go back to Google and say, yeah, I did it in the admin console. And say, I completed these steps. And there we go. Now, going forward, you can tell all your employees, when you want to check your company email, you go to, right?
Yep.
Simple steps, not super complicated. Right? Okay, then let us do the similar steps again. You know, we have to create a CNAME entry for calendar, another CNAME entry for contacts, drive, docs, spreadsheets, sites, library. You can come up your own, you know, your dog's name, doesn't matter. You know, it doesn't really matter. You can create any name you like and create new entries for that in this control panel, and it will work. If you put your dog's name, and then you have to have something corresponding to that dog as a website showing up on your screen. And so that's the idea behind this CNAME friendly names. Makes it simple for people to remember what you're talking about, as opposed to saying that, you know what, the alias to go to Gmail, or rather company email is actually google.com/a/gameinsight.info/ and that becomes really mouthful and long. It's like a South Indian name, really long, right? You heard some of those. And so really, really hard and complex. And so you simplify it by calling them Bob. I mean, that's oversimplification, and I don't think South Indians would like to call themselves Bob, but I'm just saying. There may be some Bobs in South India, who knows? So, you know, cultural jokes do not work in an multi-country setup. They just do not work. So I should stop cracking them. Yeah, it's just bad form. So, you know, many of you know I crack you know, cultural jokes all the time, and so I'll skip that. Next up, do you have any questions on these two things that actually a couple of things we discussed. We discussed a record, we discussed name servers, we discussed how do you put MX records, we saw how mail flows, we saw how you put a mailed by and a signed by entry in your email class so that people cannot spoof you. Right? Secure.
When you do this, sorry.
Go ahead.
When you do the CNAME and he did mail, like he did the mail, and then what do you do? It points to. Do you write then your domain?
No, you write ghs.googlehosted.com.
Okay. Sorry, I just missed that.
No worries. Here at the screen, line number 22. It's also on your domain control panel in Google. You will find that line number 22 says that.
Just share that, please, Nilesh.
Oh yes, sorry. Thank you for reminding. Why do I forget? Okay, I just forget. There we go. Line number 22.
Thank you.
Line number 22. Okay. GH.
No, GHS. Google Hosting Services dot googlehosted.com.
Okay. That was all I was. Do you do that for all of the
I
Drive,
think
Docs,
the current convention that Google wants you to use. That is true. You can create these names and actually Google will walk you through some kind of a flow to make your life convenient. And they'll prompt you to do these step by step. But we know already that this is what it is at the end of the day. So let's understand a quick summary of what we just discussed. We got a domain. We know how to manage the name server because the company that gave us actually lets us do that. In that name server, we have what is known as a zone file. In that zone file, we have an A record, a CNAME record, we have a TXT record, we have created a different type of TXT record for SPF, another type of TXT record for DKIM, and another type of record for verification. These CNAMEs are friendly names for Bob and Robert. And A record is something that I want to do next. What do I really want to do now is, in order for A record to work, you need to have an entry with a name pointing to an entry with a number. And where do you get a number from? You get an IP address from some box somewhere. And who gives you boxes? Any of these companies will give you a box on rental for whatever amount of money. So you generate a box and run some software on top, and then that IP address you grab from that box and then put in an entry here in the A record on your zone file. And then when you have your beautiful site ready, you go to www. and then gameinsight.info and make a record for this name. www becomes an A record pointing to an IP address. And boom, your site is up and running. That's what it takes. You have to have a box somewhere, get an IP address, put an A record with your name, and you're done. That's what it takes. Right?
Right.
Now, the next step, which is I want to be able to show you how companies can use these tools such as documents or Google Drive to concurrently edit. And that is something that is coming up. So I'm going to send you an invitation to edit a document with me right now in your email, and that invitation is coming. And you can see that I'm actually going to send you that invitation in to a drive. By the way, you notice what I'm typing at the top is drive.cloudgenius. Where does it take me? To Google Drive. And in here, I'm going to create a new document and give it a name. I'm going to say our team response to the RFP from Boeing. Yeah, just saying, right? Is there a typing mistake in the name response?
No, that's right.
Yeah, why is it saying green? But whatever. So here is our RSP response, and I'm going to share this document with all of you guys so you can edit it with me. And I'm going to grab your email addresses. Where is that? Email. And I'm going to share an email with you, all of you. Did I miss anybody? Probably not. If I miss you, please tell me. Matt is on the phone. Who else is on the phone? Yeah, I think I got everybody.
I'm listening.
Yeah, yeah. So what I'm doing right now is sending you an email with all these guys are getting an email invitation, and you can edit the document with me right now, live. And so I'm going to start typing and make a lot of mistakes, and you will be able to correct them. So you should be getting an email, and you can come and modify this. There we go. Anthony Jones is editing it. So I made mistakes. You can fix me and correct it and all that, by the way. And so we can come up with new ideas.
So you're really seeing it live time. What
Yeah,
the other people
exactly,
are.
exactly.
Oh, wow.
Seeing
Huh.
it.
Oh,
And,
nice.
and we can concurrently edit the document, and you can actually stomp over each other. For right now, I'm going to stomp over. And there we go. So you can actually cross-correct like that. And what this helps you do is very efficiently create something meaningful. If you have a small team focused on a group exercise, instead of this older method of creating, like create a doc, send it by email, and then
So whoever touches a text last is the one that would be saved.
the last writer wins. There is no save button. You will notice that there is no save button in the screen. If you go File and Save, there is no save button. There is no such thing called save. And so
how is it saved?
it is saved by default. I mean, the idea behind cloud is that your state is saved away from you in the cloud.
Gotcha.
And so, yeah, we are having a lot of fun there apparently. And so
What
that's good.
if you want to go back, say, a half an hour previous
Yes.
to a state a half an hour previous? Can
show
you do that?
Yes, I can show you like that. You see my screen? Revision history. I'm going to go back to half an hour ago.
Mm-hmm.
I just did.
Wow.
Right?
Right.
You saw what I did?
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Very
just
simple, very efficient. No emailing stuff around. None of that. It's all gone. Nobody emails documents these days. They just do it like this. This is probably the most efficient way of creating something. And you can, by the way, make a mistake, come back. And it's up to you what you want. The team decides what's the right answer, what's the right document, how it looks like, and all the formatting tools are available, right? Just like you would expect. All the formatting tools that you would expect otherwise are available, and you can do like bold and all let's say.
where's spell check?
Up there.
It's built in. And so it automatically does. So this is already there. RU. So you can just click on that and fix it. So this is what is a Google response to Microsoft Word. And this is compatible with Microsoft Word. You can download the item, download as a Microsoft Word document, an open document, rich text document, PDF document, plain text document, or web page.
Huh.
So it is compatible with Microsoft Office, but this is not Office. I mean, it is different.
A web page, huh?
You can do it a web page also. Yeah, download as a web page. That's also there. So multiple
Download as a web page.
Huh?
You can edit a current web page?
Not a current web page, but you can create a web page out of this.
Oh, got it. All right.
So that's the idea. I think it's a brilliant implementation of collaboration tool. Really beautiful. And you can go back in time, go forward in time, as opposed to not beyond to the future, but up to this time, and make changes, edit, modify, delete, trash, recycle, begin all over from scratch, share, and then prepare a response to something that you can productively create something and maybe respond to a RFP from Boeing, and send your proposal to them, and you can do it very quickly as opposed to emailing documents around, waiting for them to review, come back to you. I mean, this is just boring.
When you did that history log of the timestamps, on the right part of the screen there, can you control when that? Oh, it looks like you're doing seconds instead of minutes.
Yes.
A bunch of entries that say, or does it detect a change and automatically put a timestamp out there for you?
Correct. That is absolutely correct. It doesn't do every so often. It just detects changes and keeps the record. Anytime you make a change, it does it. So what's the point behind all this? It helps you create documents, collaborate most efficiently, other than sending emails out and having meetings and getting everybody in the same room. I mean, we are in we are in all over the world right now, and still collaborating as if we are sitting next to each other. Isn't that true?
Yep.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Can you do that with like with the group calendar?
Yes, group calendar functions very similarly, and I'll show you my calendar, which will have ugly details, but I don't mind. So unless you don't mind, here is the calendar. Where is the calendar? Here. You can do the calendar and drives and slides and sheets. And so the idea is that you now have, by the way, that Zendesk came along. So this Zendesk sign-in detected from a new device. I don't know where it went, but that token, the trouble ticket that somebody created, did not come yet. The idea behind calendar is like this. You create a calendar item and you send a meeting to them, to your guests that you have. You can add people from your company that are already there, or you can add, let's say, add Stacy. So we'll add Stacy. She's already listed, and so she just shows up in the drop down. You can look her calendar and find out what Stacy is doing by maybe discarding it and just look at what Stacy is doing, and you can just find out all the pink color items are Stacy is working, and what Chelsea is doing you can find out when she's working, and like that you can figure out what other people are doing, and you can create meetings with people in the company, outside the company. You can also have rooms assigned, a media room where I have a TV projection system, which enables me to collaborate on a video conference, and there is a resource dedicated to that room, so you can book that room for video collaboration, and that meeting automatically gets started when you click this button. So it becomes a video meeting if you click this button automatically. You can, all other things like time zones, find a time where the guests are available or not, or repeat certain meetings in certain time zones. All these things are available in all US time zones and also worldwide. They are just available, and so it's a very nicely implemented calendar. It, by the way, integrates also very nicely with your Androids and your iPads and everything like that. So that's calendar implementation. We also have, similar to that, we have contact implementation. So we have like 11,000 people in my address book, and so they will load up, and so it goes on and on. So huge number of people in the address book, and then there is mail, and there is task. And so the idea behind these services essentially is that you get to operate your business, that you are using Google services to run your business, and of course they expect you to pay them, right? It is free for 30 days. And so unless you really want that service, I would not recommend, don't forget to remove the service from your account, otherwise you are stuck. So don't forget that. Next up, one thing that I would like to give you, which is kind of interesting, but I would like to point out to you what that thing is, and that is the fact that is here. And so I'm going to give you unlimited access to storage in Google Drive.
Woohoo!
What just happened?
Share your screen.
Okay. Sorry, sir. And so here it is. Everyone at Cloud Genius has unlimited storage,
Woohoo!
which means you are getting it, and you can use it. Just don't store illegal stuff, and you're okay.
10.
I hope you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, you said free.
Yes, it is free for you. It is free for you as long as Google has given it to us. We will give it to you, and I will be creating accounts for you and sending you emails. It will be an email for you like Kiran at Cloud Genius or Jared at Cloud Genius, things like that. So you will get an unlimited storage, and that I'm going to give you. So you can use it. I'm using 2.12 terabytes, out of which 4 gigabytes or 5 gigabytes are Gmail and 500 GB are photographs, and more documents, about 1.6 terabytes of documents. This is the amount of storage I'm using. And you get unlimited, which is nice. So if you you can synchronize all your content in one place and manage it like that. So you have it and make use of it. It is for you. So I'll be creating accounts and emailing you instructions, and all it takes really is this. It takes me this, go here and sign in and create new users. And Anil already has one. And I'm going to create for you guys also. Plus, add multiple users. Maybe in one shot, I'll get all of them. So add multiple users, attach a file. Yeah, I guess one by one I have to create. So I'll do that later.
Okay.
But this is like what you would do in your company, right? You have a company that you have employees. You will add employees, and they will just show up in your address book. And once you have that Google Drive, you can then use these tool sets. And even if they are not going to be on your domain, you can still use them on my domain. So you still get the benefit of using these tools already. Like Google Drive, like that you will have documents, and if you go to your drive. Cloud Genius. Here you can create a whole other types of documents, like documents, presentations, spreadsheets, forms, drawings, lucid charts, faxes, signing using pen and paper, Gantt chart, diagrams, and more applications. So all of these you can use for your Google Drive, which you can continue to use, and it will be not on your domain, it will be my domain, but it will work the same way. So you are getting that from me after the end of this session. So at the end of the session, I'll send it out. Similar to what you just saw with Google services, there are other types of services available from other companies. And that example I would like to point out to you is in here. Where is that? In our chat. In our chat, I gave a reference to the other one, that is Office 365, which is, where is that? There. No, not this. There. So you should be able to see here almost similar type of services from Office 365 are also available from Microsoft, except they don't have this concurrent editing kind of scenario yet. They're working on it. Here, if you go scroll down to the business section, your purchase options, somewhere along the way you will find a free trial for business. Don't click the buy now buttons. Look for, there was a free trial somewhere. If you're inclined in that direction, you can. Yeah, there it is. Try. So try for home and personal. If this is a business trial, I would like you to get. See option for business. So go there, and that's where you should get the full experience of using it for a large business, and that is the right link. In that link, you will get this option to try the Office 365 for Business as well as Office 365 Business Premium. The essential, there is no free trial. The trial is only available for the business versions and the business premium versions. Once you click through that link, that will allow you to create almost similar to what you just did with Google. Almost similar, not much different. Pretty much the same idea. You do the same thing, which is you go and first thing, what did we do? First thing was to validate your domain. Then you add after validation completes, you add MX records. And in case of Google, you add 5 Google records. In case of Microsoft, you add a Microsoft record. That's the difference. That's not much difference, but that's what you do. Next up, you will have a CNAME entry. For there is no drive, but there is probably SkyDrive or OneDrive. You create an entry to OneDrive. You have calendar, you have contacts, you have email, you have everything else just like Google will give you. So pretty much similar. And in fact, that is something that you may want to do on your own and set up your same exact domain, validate it this time with Microsoft, and play along with that company, see how it is different from this company. And that will give you somewhat of a good understanding of what are the different features, how are they similar, how are they different, and I would like you to compare and contrast what is good, what is not so good about these two companies by reading and reviewing them, and send me an email as a homework as to what the differences are and why would you use this versus that. So I'll write a very specific question for you to answer, and I do not expect more than a paragraph, more than maybe 2 paragraphs of writing. You'll write very short, very succinct, but precisely identify what do you find that is interesting to a business scenario which is inclined towards Google Apps versus inclined to go towards Office 365. You can find these answers yourself very easily by going to their services. By going to these 2 links that I have in my Slack channel, or going and reading about these things here, you can very easily understand what is relevant to one type of business and how is that interesting to or not interesting to another business. And like pretty much similar. For example, here you get email with 50 GB mailbox. Google will give you, I don't know, unlimited storage or something like that. They have given me unlimited storage. Unlimited means, really, it's kind of surprising when you think about unlimited, that I can give you actually 2 times unlimited. I mean, it doesn't have any meaning, but the storage has gone so cheap that they can afford to give anybody and everybody unlimited storage. Whereas these guys are stuck with 1 terabyte. 1 terabyte of file storage and sharing. These guys, Microsoft is also giving you HD video conferencing, which is my product, the Lync product, which has a new name by the way now. And we are using this product right now from Google, which is called Hangout. Hi guys. And so that's the same product. And the idea here is that you use these products to collaborate and do video conferencing no matter where you are, in whichever country you are. And you can do that, and we are doing it. I mean, this is it. This is how we are using the tool that we are actually talking about on the domain Cloud Genius, video collaboration happening right now. You can also use your services for your own company, for your business, or maybe take this next idea of Google has a program to help people, train them on using Google Apps. Microsoft has a program on helping people to use them and train them on using Office 365. There are consultants that run this exercise of helping other organizations adopt Google Apps or Office 365 as a service, and that is an opportunity to make money based on what you just learned today. Is you can identify a business and help them out, setting up their professional email, calendar, contacts, address book, document sharing, collaborating, video conferencing, every single thing, and charge money for it. If you think about it, once you know it is easy, but without that information, you don't have an idea where to begin. And there is money-making opportunity here. People do make money here by helping other companies set up Office 365 or transfer their email system, older email system, over to Google or over to Office 365. This is a well-established practice. There are consulting companies that do that, and all they do is what we just did. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Any questions on this topic?
Actually, I do have one question.
Yes,
So you
sir.
said you created the Hangout for Microsoft,
No.
or the video conferencing?
It's not called Hangout, but the idea is the same. And yes, I did. And I did a while ago. At that time, it was called. Let me tell you what it is. So you search for this name and the patent for that name. If you look at the patent, it describes this concept of presence detection. Management of information, detection of physical presence. And based on this idea, you see in your Google or Gmail, let's go to Gmail. At this moment in Hangout, on the side of Gmail, you will see that there is this status, whether you are available or away or in a meeting. Those things show up in your yeah, I got it, Kiran, I got it.
Okay.
So yeah, here you see that this Jared showing green color dot,
Yes.
and Anil showing green dot, whereas other people are not showing green dots because they're not available, they're away. And so this color indication is detection of presence information. This is one implementation of the idea. And that was implemented in this patent and took shape of a product called Office Communicator back in 2007. That product evolved and renamed itself into this product called Lync. And now this Lync has evolved into a new name called Skype.
Skype for business. Yeah, it's what we use.
Yeah. And so they have a new product called Lync for Home.
It's on the Macintosh too.
Yeah, the Lync for Home. Yeah, Lync has a Macintosh client and also an iPhone and an Android client. And so that Lync product is what basically my product is, and it is now a part of Office 365 that you will get to use if you go the Office route. And so I just got an email from Kiran's personal domain, Thanikela in. Nice one. You got it. That's beautiful. And I just replied to your email, Kiran, so you have it.
Okay.
And that is just awesome. So what else do you want to ask in terms of in the context of what we have just discussed? So I'll give you an idea. Take this IP address and create an A record and tell me what happens when you open that website. So I'm just giving you this IP address, write that one. Take that IP address and create an A record. You know how to create an A record? In your domain, you create an A record, which you have not done yet. So I want to do that part. So what I'm asking you is to set up an A record for your domain under the name www and give it the IP address in here. That's what I'm asking you to do. And when you do that, you should be able to go to the www dot whatever domain you have.com. Then tell me what happens. You get the question, right? You get what I'm asking?
Yep, I get it.
Okay.
I just can't play at the moment, Nilesh, so.
I understand. But the idea is, I if you are able to run this, that will be awesome because, it helps you get the idea of an A record very clearly. And the idea behind A record is that you're doing a name to number mapping as opposed to a name to name mapping. We did name to name mapping already. What did we do in the name to name mapping? We created a CNAME and we created a relationship between Bob and Robert, between drive dot or mail.domain.com and ghs.googlehosted.com. So name to name relationship is an alias relationship, which we already did. What we want to do now is play with the idea of an A record. An A record is a name to number mapping. And for convenience, I'm giving you a ready-made number. And all you need to do is set up an entry in your zone file for a new A record corresponding to www. And then you open www.yourdomain.com.
Nilesh, if you could share, please.
Yes. And when you open that page like this, so say for example it will be, what's the name of the game? Game in site.info. And if you open that site right now without the A record, nothing will happen. But don't open it right now. First you add an A record like this. And then visit this page. And then tell me what happens. What do you think will happen?
He's going to go to your box.
That's right. It's going to go to my box, and my box will look like this. So on your screen, you will see this. Except there will be a warning showing that your digital signature did not match. Certificate is bad. There will be a warning like that. So in my case, the certificate is valid. But if you go to take the same site and put it against gameinside.info, it will complain your certificate is bad. And that's okay. You know it is bad, but that's the kind of complaint it's going to say once you open the site. It will complain like that. Because the certificate that I have on the box is for my domain, not your domain. Right?
And we're typing that in the virtual box.
You type in the zone control panel for zone file editing in GoDaddy. In GoDaddy, you go create an A record for your domain, which is like this.
A record.
So Nilesh, the record type is what's the host? And then it points to that web address, or to that IP address, but what's the host?
www.
Gotcha.
Well, it's not adding it actually. It says it's already existing.
Yeah, if it's already existing, call it, call it YYY.
Wow.
Indeed. Why.com.
Yeah, then go to YYY. Thank goodness I did not say XXX.
And that might give a few problems. Triple X.
Not really, it will work just fine.
For a few minutes anyway.
Yeah, it will work just fine. In fact, if you just take the IP address itself and drop it in the browser, see what happens.
It should route to you.
Right. It shows connection is not private, which is the certificate issue, because that IP address and the certificate doesn't match. And so I have to go advanced and say, you know what, I know what I'm doing, proceed, and it is very unsafe and all that good stuff. I know it is unsafe, but go. And if I say go,
That's it.
that's what happens.
Cloud Genie, ABC.
Yeah, you can do, any name you like. It's really irrelevant. This part is irrelevant, and what you do here, this will open up the same site that is behind this box, but with a different name. There will be a certificate mismatch, which is understood, but everything else is okay. So that's the concept behind an A record. Now, if I take that same entry and create my own record in Route 53, I'm going to show it to you right now. So here I'm going to create an A record, like this. And here, for fun, I'm going to say Y. And paste the IP address. Okay. And I'm going to create it. So I just created a record and I saved it. Now I'll open a browser, new tab, go to YYY. And then enter. And page is not available because the domain update hasn't happened yet. So let us go check dig. Dig. What is your A record? Please tell me your A record. And dig cannot find it. It is too soon to check. So there was no response in the answer section. There was a question. Hey, YYY.cloudgenie.us, what is your A record? The answer section is missing because DNS sometimes takes time to propagate. In case of Route 53, it is hopefully faster. And so we should be able to get an A record as soon as we find an answer here. In the question section, we have the question, but the answer section doesn't have an answer, and that's why the domain doesn't open up. But when you have the answer in dig, it will open up here. And it did, because now there is an answer to the dig question. And it is matching the A record entry that I put. And it is YYY.cloudgenius as opposed to www. And by the way, you will notice that the URL did not cause any trouble in the certificate. Can you tell me why?
Reverse us.cloudgenie.
Right. And the exact precise answer is that my certificate is issued to, look at this.
Mm-hmm.
You see that?
Yep.
Star dot.
It is star dot.
Wildcard.
It's a wildcard certificate, meaning I can put whatever I want here. YYY, what was that name of your Australian animal?
Wombat.
Wombat. Yeah, I can put wombat and it will still work with a proper certificate. Right? I can put wombat and it will work just fine. It doesn't matter. What do you think?
That's cool.
So let us summarize. If you do not have any questions, let me summarize this like this. What we have done on the day one. Day one when we met, we discussed our the definition. What is cloud computing? In that definition, we had.
Sorry to trouble you. Thank you.
Thank you for that reminder.
No
I
problem.
always forget that. So here, in our definition, we began on day one. We discussed infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, briefly, very, very briefly we discussed that. Software as a service. We experimented on the next day with one or two cloud companies that focus on providing you infrastructure. The two companies we used were Elastic Compute Cloud from Amazon Web Services, and the other was DigitalOcean. Today, we are actually focusing in this area, using software as a service from this company called Google, and also discuss the other company called Microsoft that are providing us collaboration, email, calendaring, and other related software available to us as a service, software as a service from these companies, right? But what about the platform? And that is something that I would like to cover next time when we meet. And we will be creating an account with another well-known platform as a service provider. The name is Heroku.
All right.
And this is in the land of Anthony Jones, San Francisco area. That's what this company is, and they are owned by Salesforce.com. Heroku is a platform available as a service. And when I say platform as a service, if you recall our post discussion, there is this end user that is using some software that runs on a platform, that runs on top of some infrastructure. And so in our example that I have been giving is that there is this IP address that I showed you, which is running in our DigitalOcean. Here you see this DigitalOcean, and there are a bunch of boxes running here. These boxes are essentially responsible for this site. And I was showing you live production data. So this is actually the sites that are running. This is running the Bastion, this is the HA proxy, this is the MySQL server, this is the EDX app number 1, app number 2, and the marketing site, outside facing site. So that services are running here. And they are running on DigitalOcean as the provider of the infrastructure. On top of that, I have built my own platform. And then I deploy my own software on top, which is called OpenEdX. And that software is what you see as a user. And these are the 3 layers that you see in that example. Some more examples. This is the name of a software called WordPress, and the site is, as you will note, WordPress.org, which is different from WordPress.com. Do you know what the difference is between the two?
Mm-hmm.
So this is the software itself. You download it from this site, and you click, and you download, and there it comes. That's how you get the software. Software is free and open source. Good. What about the .com? Now there's no download here. It is a ready-made service available to us, and most of the features are free. And you click and you create a new website. That's how it rolls. Very, very simple, very, very easy. And it is hosted by the company behind WordPress, and they give you most of the features for free. But then if you want your own domain here instead of WordPress.com, they will charge you $10.
Yeah.
Something like that. So they have pricing sheet that you have to worry about, but that's the software as a service from WordPress. WordPress is the same software that many large companies use. By large, even smaller companies, it's probably 80% of websites are using the software. So let's actually, instead of me saying that up, how many sites use WordPress? I mean, that was yeah, there we go. So we got the answer.
Well.
That's about 50% of this figure is hosted on free WordPress. Right? Now let us see. This site called the White House. And don't go to whitehouse.com. Do not. This site is Obama's site. And this software that runs for Obama is another open source software called Drupal. And you download Drupal from here. And you click, and there you go. You basically download for free. It's open source. And you click the download button, and there it comes. But the company behind this software runs a service called Drupal Gardens. And here you click and create a site for free. And most of the services are free. And you click and you put a name, and then you get drupalgardens.com, and then for certain other things you pay them some money. And this Drupal Gardens is a software as a service. And the site from Obama, which is Drupal.org, that software is what Obama is using to run his site, the White House. And there are many such sites that are using Drupal software. There are many other good open source products like line number 34 and 35. They are software pieces. And to run some software and provide to somebody as a service requires a whole lot more work than just developing the software, right? You have to actually make the software run on some machine, and then some platform is needed, and then you need some operating system, and then you need some hardware, and then you put all these things together in form of a package, and then you give as a service. And that is what software as a service is. So in order for you to run a WordPress site, you need to install the WordPress software from this ORG site, download. It's going to be a zip file. What do you do with the zip file?
Unzip it.
Unzip it. Yeah, unzip it.
And then you get a folder. Now what? You put it on some machine, and then it runs some. It needs a lot more things in here in order for it to actually work like a WordPress site. And I'll tell you what is needed. At the very basic bottom, you need some hardware. And you can get hardware plus operating system from companies like EC2 or DigitalOcean or HP Cloud or Google Cloud or Microsoft or a bunch of other companies, right? They'll give you some operating system, some hardware. In fact, most of these companies will let you choose which operating system you like. They'll let you choose what you want. They'll give you that. You want Windows, you get Windows. You got Linux, you get Linux. You choose your flavor, you get your flavor. So that is given. But then on top, you can just not just unzip and get it to work. No, it doesn't work like that. You still have to do something in between this, the zip that you get and unzip. Between the unzip and you drop the folder and you get the OS and the hardware. In between there is this gap, and that gap is the thing that is generally called a platform on which you will run this software. In case of WordPress, the platform requirements are very well defined and well known as the LAMP stack. L is for Linux. Actually, this is the operating system that is created by Linus. Linus Torvalds. If you don't know him, I'm assuming everybody knows Linus. Not this, but this. And so this, I'm surprised that his name did not show up. But this gentleman created, as a part of his school project, the Linus operating system. That's what is used in, 90% of sites are running that software today. So that's what this OS you will get. That is the requirement here. Then you have to have a web server called Apache. You also have to have some database, and they have MySQL.
Mongo.
Sorry. Now, in case of WordPress, you need MySQL,
Yep.
and in case of a language, is also needed. You get PHP. So you have to install PHP on this Linux box. You have to install Apache on the Linux box. You have to install MySQL on the Linux box. Create user account for the database. Connect that database account with the WordPress software, and then take that zip, unzip it, and put it in the right location so that the PHP language can then start reading the software and start serving you a website. So lots of things needed, and these infrastructure companies will help you get the hardware and the OS, but somewhere in the middle, you need to get the platform. So you get that platform as a service, and then you put your software on top, and that can run. And if you decide to take your software and provide it as a service, it becomes software as a service. And that's what WordPress.com is doing, is that they take their software, put it on some platform, which in turn runs some hardware and some operating system, and then set it all up the way you want, and then start selling that as a service. And most of it is given away for free. That's what's going on in WordPress.com and DrupalGardens.com. So these two sites are example software as a service sites. Similar to that, you have used many other software as a service like Salesforce.com or Zoho.com, a bunch of other sites that are available that you should be able to enumerate and list. So in fact, the homework assignment goes like this. And that you have to respond in Slack. So I'll make it easy for you. Just respond in Slack. And you can do it whenever you like. You don't have to do it right away. But name 10 different SaaS providers without repeating. And so the first one gets to say it, but the second one person cannot repeat some name already said. And so that goes in Slack. Right? You have to identify, do Google searches, figure out. And so I have already used up some names, so you cannot use these names. If somebody else responds in Slack and they are going to use those names, then you cannot use those names. You have to keep looking for more, and you have to describe what they do in one line, like just one line, like WordPress. I'm going to give an example. WordPress, like this, helps people write blog. That's it. That's good enough. Just I want to understand whether you got it. What do they do? What's the function? What's the service they provide? Like, what is the service? It's a service, right? What is the service they provide? I want to understand that from your one line. It has to be really short, really simple, but I want you to explore what types of software are available as a service today. And so 10 of them, 10 examples, and that's one. The other work that I would like you to do is compare contrast in not more than 2 paragraphs. So compare contrast the business benefit of these guys, Office 365 versus Google Apps.
Okay. Homework.
I hope that's not too complex and not too boring. I don't want the homework to be boring. And the idea behind focusing on the business benefits is that we already know how to do it in technology front. We already know how to hook things up. We have done it for Google. We can do it for Office 365. Not a big deal. They're pretty much similar from a DNS perspective. We got the A records, we got the CNAME, the MX, the TXT, and the DKIM, and the SPF. We understand why it's important, and we get that. The technology is understood. I hope it is understood. And I would like you to understand the business implications of what that thing is actually doing for businesses. Because these companies like Google and Microsoft are into selling their services to other businesses. Like they sell Office 365 to the Boeing company. And Boeing is using Office 365 as a service for all their employees. And so why did Boeing choose Office from Microsoft versus choosing Google Apps from Google? Or what are the pros and cons that they need to study and think and understand and actually practice? Because this is something that's a very critical decision for them. Why would a company take one versus the other? It's something that I would like you to understand and answer in form of a response. Right?
Yep.
Okay.
Good. Let me paste this in Slack so you have it. When I go to Slack, I think it shows you a black screen, does it?
Well, no, right now we can see it.
Right.
Recording.
For a minute.
Right. Yeah, there's the Slack screen now. We can see that.
Yeah, you can see black because I am in Slack.
Yes.
I come back to the notepad and you can see it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The Slack is trying to hide itself from being visible on Google Hangout, which is understood. It's probably deliberately done like that because they want to make sure that people cannot see private chat. Did this thing work for you, the why thing that we discussed?
Yeah.
Yeah, I understood that.
Okay. Did it work for you?
Depends on your version of did it work.
Okay. So,
Try abc.
If you have a link for me, abc. Okay, good. Let's see how you did it and what shows up. I'm going to go abc. And see what shows up. So where is my screen sharing again? There we go. Share my screen. Share entire screen and new tab. abc. In and see what shows up. Is it a typing mistake? Yeah, it's not resolving in this country yet.
Yeah.
It's due a day.
For me, it took me to the website.
Yeah, it has to resolve in this country, right? So let's go check.
So the DNS zones have not been.
Yeah, records are still propagating. See, I don't get an answer yet. It will be updated for you, but not for me yet. So it will happen. And global propagation can take up to 48 hours, is what they say. And so maybe by next time we meet, we will have it up and running. Cool. What else you want to discuss?
All good.
All good. So,
How about the
was this
homework?
discussion? Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, just John.
Go ahead.
That homework from the last session.
Mm-hmm.
Do you
Yep. Yeah, I would like to
use the AWS generated proof key with
Mhm.
DigitalOcean?
Right. So I would like to show you, if you have not succeeded, let me show you the way to do that. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So if you allow me to go to this site, which is abc.hanikela.com or .in, let's go there, which is where we'll find the answer, by the way. So the answer to the homework is already there. And let's see if the page now loads up. Not there. Not there. You go to this site in another browser, and in here, you see my screen?
No, if you could share, please.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. So yeah, I'm sharing my screen, and on my screen you will see that on the courseware tab, I have tried to rearrange the material in form of session number 1 and session number 2 in terms of what we did the other day. So there is this MD5 and SHA-1 validation, and you should be able to find the MD5 value for that large download and compare it with what you see like this. So you should be able to get the MD5 value for the workstation download from this link. So from this link, you can find that the workstation has an MD5 checksum of this value and a SHA-1 checksum of this value. The question I have for you is, did these values match?
You can try it.
Oh, yes. Well, you wouldn't be able to work to the workstation if it didn't.
And so I'm very happy that it actually matched, except for Anil, who is still downloading. But that's unfortunate. He's far, far away from us in India, and his internet connectivity may be different than other people. So he'll take his time to trickle the download, and when that download happens, I hope it completes successfully the first time. Otherwise, there'll be a big problem. 5 gigabytes is not chump change. And, that MD5 checksum and SHA-1 checksum has to match. If they do not match, if you say no to the answer and say check, it will say wrong. It has to match because the right answer is your calculated value needs to match. Please download again. Now, the next one, which is create a public key from private key. So you go to the Amazon console.
So I got a question, Neelish. The first time I downloaded that OVA file, I knew I didn't have the. It seemed like it only gave me about a fourth of the size when I was comparing the size. I think you said it needed like 4.9 gig. I think I only got like 1.5 gigs or something like that.
Right.
So this was before we were comparing the checks, doing the checksums.
Right. So when you compare checksum, that is absolutely a match is totally needed, without which there is no point going forward. And if you know that the file is 4.9 GB and the download is only 1 or 1 or 2, 1.5, that's definitely a broken download. So you can just discard it and start all over again. Right?
Yeah. It took a while to get, but it finally finished.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was typing that in on mine, and it wasn't. It was saying this is not a valid response or something like that.
You mean download link itself was valid?
The MD5 checksum with that file. It wasn't a.
So did you then correctly?
It was giving me like an error on my. VirtualBox?
So you have to run it on a physical machine because the download happens on a real computer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So once your VirtualBox is up and running, that's good. But your command needs to be running from your Mac.
Okay.
So you need to run this command. Which one? This one. These commands. You need to run it like a Mac, like this.
Okay.
And like this.
Uh-huh.
And then you have to provide the path to the file that you download. And then it will give you the result. Similarly, for your MD5, you run this command. And that's how you would actually calculate for your Macintosh what you download from that site.
And the path to, and then the file is that file name.
Okay, so let me show you. So here in this example, you see I have my path to is actually somewhere in this location.
Are you running a Mac there? Is oh.
And so here in this Google Drive, I have that downloaded, and it is called this file. So that is the file that I need to run, and I will then run MD5 like this, and it will calculate. I need to be in that location where the file is.
Oh.
And then you don't have to give the path. If you are not in that location, then you have to give the path. I think Kiran lost connectivity. Let's invite him again. Kiran.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe I didn't download it. That's the only thing I can think of.
Well, yeah.
I feel like I did download it though.
You got you got the cloud workstation going, right? So you had
Yeah, the VirtualBox.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm running on Windows. I had to first get that download from Microsoft, the FCIV.
Right, that FCIV is needed because that tool is not built into Windows. You have to get it from outside. And you have to get that tool from Microsoft.
Yeah, so I don't like that. So, you can so before you package up your software, you do a checksum on it, right? To get those.
That is correct.
Get the hash values.
Exactly. Except the comment I would say is not before I package, but after I package. Then I calculate the checksum, and then I post this website and give you the values right here. When I have created the package, after that I do a checksum. So the checksum is on the package with the OVA extension. Right? Now the next topic is about public key and private key business. So if you show the answer, you will find how to do it. And here is the key or the way to actually do that thing which we wanted you to do, which is to create a public key out of a private key. So let us go to the Amazon console. And here I am on the Amazon console. And
was that part of the notes? Your explanation?
No, the explanation is provided as a response to a question in the site. It is not available to you. It was a homework assignment, so I was hiding the answer.
Okay.
I was hiding the answer, but the answer is available. If you answer whatever yes or no, and then you show the answer, you will know how to do it. Of course, you can Google and find out, but not a big deal. But I was trying to deliberately hide the answer from you, unless the idea was that for you to figure it out how to do it yourself, as opposed to me just giving you how. And so here I have given the answer, and let's do it. What we need to do essentially is go to the location in where you have Amazon console. Then on the upper segment, you take notice of where your current region is. Your keys that you generate depend on the region. So a key in Virginia does not work in Oregon necessarily. And so if your default is Oregon location, you remember that your default is Oregon. And then you go to EC2, and then you create a key pair. And I right now have one key pair. I'm ignoring that. I'm going to create another key pair, and I will call it and then click to save it in my downloads folder. So I have it saved. I'm not going to open it. Instead, I'll go to my terminal and go to the downloads folder and find out what I have. And I have the cloudgenius.pem. So I will now convert cloudgenius.pem into hold on, the permissions issues. We have to do a chmod 400 and cloudgenius.pem, and then clear again, and then run the command cloudgenius.pem, and this gives you the public key.
And now when you look what's in there, do a listing.
Sorry. And you can save that, redirect the output to a cloudgenius.pub.
That's it. Yep.
So you can see the output of the public key right on your screen in the first command, and in the second command you can redirect the output to another file, .pub.
Right.
And when you do it that way, it will create a file, the .pub file.
And you got that CloudGenius.pem file from
Amazon.
the pair that you created on Amazon.
Yes. Let's do it again one more time.
So you copied the PEM file over? Or
I did.
yeah,
I have managed to remove my downloaded item completely, right? I erase that. I will now go back to Amazon and delete it from here again.
Yeah.
And then I will create one more key pair, and this time I will call it John. And
Yeah, all right.
And then I have it downloaded in the downloads folder. So now
Neelish, real quick question. When you're downloading it, is it downloading it to your virtual machine, or is it downloading it to your actual machine? That's the question that I couldn't figure out.
Right. So I think I must be confusing you, and so I'm sorry for that. What I would like to do is do the same thing inside. If your
next
browser
is that in Trusty, the VirtualBox machine, he's connected to Amazon through the console from the machine.
That's okay. Yep. Okay. That's what I thought. Okay.
So if you use this terminal inside Trusty, inside this virtual machine, and go to Amazon console from
here, yep.
And in that case, when you log in, and then you generate a key. Hold on, let me log in properly. In most of my login locations, I have this second factor authentication in place, which makes it hard for me to log in, but so what? And so I'm logging in. I'm going to my Amazon region, which I want. I want to go to the Oregon region. Good. Then I go to EC2. I understand. Then in EC2, I have my key pairs. I will delete the John key pair. And then I'll create another key pair. Create. And this time I'm going to call it Anthony.
Okay.
And then create. When I create, it downloads to the downloads folder, which is here. If I open it, it goes to the downloads location, which is where I have a whole host of other things downloaded, but the main file I'm interested in is this one,
Yep.
the anthony.pem. So I'm going to go there, the download folder, and then here I will type anthony.pem and enter, and it says unprotected private key. Okay, break it here and say chmod 400 Anthony.
Change the permissions. Right.
Okay.
And then I paste again.
Well, actually, before you do that, Nilesh,
Sorry.
Why don't you do ls
just do an ls so you can see the permissions that are now in effect.
I see. I see.
minus L, do a phone.
There we go. So now it's read only for the user.
Gotcha.
And so the permissions I now have are strict. They were before open-ended. They were like this before. So other people could read it.
Yep.
But now it is not readable by other people.
There we go. Oops.
And so once I have that, I can then create the public key and redirect the public key to anthony.pub.
So when you generate those keys, it always dumps it in the download folder.
Anything you download goes to the downloads folder,
Oh, okay.
including the key.
But when we were messing with keys from DigitalOcean, I thought it was going to a different folder, correct?
Right.
.sh.
We were asking it to specifically go to the folder called .ssh.
Right. Okay. Okay. So I was locked into the thinking that everything was going to that folder rather than another downloads folder. So now I get it.
Right. And the .ssh folder is where it goes by default when you
Gotcha.
generate a key yourself.
Gotcha.
And you cannot find the .ssh folder if you go home or desktop or
Oh,
download.
I know. I looked forever. So is there a visual representation that shows you what folders are available? You know what I'm saying?
I know. And there is definitely not. And
Okay.
the reason is that these operating system manufacturers think that it is too risky for humans, and I'm calling all of you nerds, it is too risky for humans to see these hidden folders.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Right? They deliberately hide these folders and never make them visible in Linux, nor in Windows, nor in Mac. It just cannot be seen. They are hidden. And so that's how operating system manufacturers think that the dot folders are not visible folders. There are many dot files and dot folders we'll deal with in this program, and that is just not visible in your regular user interface.
Right.
This is meant for people.
So my trusty file could be in one of those because I tried to look for it and I couldn't find it in my actual binder.
Oh yeah, it's in your download. That's where I found it. Unless you copied it and moved it somewhere else.
No, I definitely didn't.
If you go do a search for trusty, you will
Yeah.
find it in your Mac.
I'm looking for it. Oh, there it is. Trusty. It's in downloads. Okay. Found it.
Okay, good.
Thanks.
But for some reason, when I type the code in, it's not doing anything.
Funny.
MD5.
Couldn't you on AWS create your own, or on your virtual machines do a SHS and keygen and then import those to AWS?
Yes, you can. And there is this button which is not blue colored, but there it is.
If you could share that, Nilesh.
Yes, sorry.
Thank you.
Okay. How many times do you have to remind me?
No, it's okay. No.
Oh, you gotta,
Being
you gotta,
This is
being
nuts.
recorded, so.
This is totally nuts. But sorry about that. So here,
program it.
the button that is the create key.
No, the key, the tab next to it, import key, yeah.
Import key. You give it a name.
Yeah.
Cloud Genius.
And then you copy the
You
whatever
go
the
here and then grab the public
stuff.
key and copy and then bring it over here and paste. Simple. There we have it. Right? You can delete these two keys, which I don't want. But that's how you import a key pair and create a key pair. Both choices, and go to DigitalOcean, same idea, settings, secure.
But then you would just do that technique where you copy the public key onto the
Yeah, this is the public key. This is the name.
the second entry, right?
I can have 5 entries, 10 entries, doesn't even matter how many entries. It's a list. You can keep on adding items to your number of keys you have. There is no limit to it.
Okay, I'm sharing my screen.
Mhm.
Sorry, but
Yeah, go ahead.
so I'm in downloads.
Yes.
Make clear.
No, don't clear. It is actually running. This 5 gigabyte MD5 takes a lot of time. So it is running, don't clear.
Oh, okay.
It takes about a minute or so. And so let it run, and when it finishes running, you should be able to see the result. So if it's a small file, the MD5 representation comes very quickly. But if not, it takes a long, long time. Like 5 gigabytes will probably about take a minute or two. And there we have it. So you just cleared it, but you had it.
Oh,
you know what? You can just scroll up.
that's why it wasn't working, because
I
I
know.
kept just like
So just
deleting or
scroll up, it
something.
will show you. So put your 2 fingers and scroll down. 2 fingers, scroll down, down, down. There it is.
Ah, okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Right there.
So since you are clearing it, it will clear it
Okay.
up. And
I get it now. I just could not figure it out for some reason. I'm like,
right.
but okay, thanks.
So why would you need to do that one exercise? What was the purpose of creating a public creating AWS public key on DigitalOcean, so
Yes.
you could connect to
There are a couple of things here. The simple thing is that it makes your life easy if you have just one key to deal with all of the properties.
if you have what? I'm sorry.
Yeah, if you just have one key to deal with all the properties, it makes life easy,
Okay.
That's the reason why I said, you know what, just let's see if you can actually create a public key and use it with another company. A key is a key is a key, and that public key you can give to any company and ask them to create computers, and you can use that same private key and connect to them, and it makes your life convenient because you can now use the same key with any company that provides you machines, whether it is Rackspace or HP Cloud or Boeing or Microsoft or who.
Got it.
Doesn't
One
matter.
private key to many.
Yeah, one key, and you have your
many
locks.
public
You're
keys.
asking Hertz, the rental car company, you know what? I want 10 cars, but I don't want to carry around 10 different keys. So you know what? Why don't you just put my
Yeah,
lock?
got it. Well, more like at your house, one key should fit all your front door, your back door, your patio door, your garage door.
That's more logical. More logical. Yes.
Okay, I see it. All right.
That's a better example than this Hertz rental car company example. It's kind of very unnatural to have them put my lock in there. It doesn't make sense. But yeah, you can have the same lock on the door front and the door in the back and door in the garage and everything else.
Well, I would think, you talked about security. You either would probably want to rotate that a lot, those key pairs, or else
Yes, you're right. You're right.
or have some automated method to, because if guy has the key, then you're gonna give him access to all your boxes.
I know. If you lose that key, you have a big problem. And so that is the reason why it is important to rotate your keys every so often. And if you are using one key for multiple locations, it can be, in theory, a little less secure.
Okay, understood. Got it.
But it's a matter of convenience versus, rigidity of discipline and making your life difficult in having to deal with every key every 10 minutes, a new key. It becomes cumbersome. You can go to the extreme and say, and I will generate a new key every 10 minutes for every company, every cloud provider, every box, and that's just obnoxious. So there has to be a sense of reasonability, and it's a balance, right? It's a delicate balance between what you want on convenience on one hand versus this concept of keeping your stuff secure. And in fact, if you recall our discussion the other day when we discussed VPN, Virtual Private Cloud, if you remember, there is a template that can be created based on, let me show you. So I'm sharing my screen and going to EC2 and going to my dashboard where I have logged out again. How many times? Do you know what I'm doing right now? You know what this number is? Where it comes from?
Nope.
It's created for you.
Yeah, so this number comes from a tool, and I'll show you the tool right now. Let's see if I can show you that tool.
Oh, you were going to show us also the way to manage how you manage your passwords.
Oh yeah, good one. That's first, more important. So I manage my passwords to say, let's see, where do I go and show it to you? Yeah, here. So this site, right? Am I logged in? No, I'm not. So now what will I do to log in? I'll press two buttons and a prompt shows up. I can just select and log in. How did that happen? Because I'm using a software called 1Password. This company that stores all my passwords. The software looks like this. And the passwords typically look like this. Like, you don't see the passwords, but oh, by the way, there was a vulnerability alert. They are asking me to change the password for this site. Right? They just told me to change it because they found that it's probably insecure password, so they said that I should change the password. Now let us see. This site also lets me generate random passwords just like that. And I can adjust the complexity of the password, whether make it pronunciable with symbols and hyphens and none, mixed case, or not use mixed case, all lowercase, and increase the length, reduce the length, and fit it. And so it can become, a complex password, difficult password, whatever policy you put. And that is kind of hard to say, but that is a password. So I can use it like that. So that's one solution. But this is a paid service. So you can get it for Windows, or for Mac, or for iPhones and Androids. Now the other solution, which is not even, it's still commercial but not doesn't charge you, at least initially, is this software. And so you have both these choices, your choice, and go. I prefer the 1Password solution, but either way I have a LastPass account. I used to use this also. Both of them are good. This is free. 1Password is not. This is free for certain things. They'll ask you for a premium for some other things, but they are available for all the platforms again. The idea behind this solution set is if you read the top level commentary, simplify your life. At the top level, prior to this, there used to be another statement from them that say, this is the last password you will ever remember. You ever have to remember. And so that's the name LastPass, that's where it comes from. And that 1Password is the last password that you have to remember. So there is a password on top of all these 17,000 passwords you have. That one you remember, and then every other password it will store it by itself. And this is a plugin to any browser. And so you can install this LastPass and connect with any browser you have. You can generate complex passwords like this one and use it with any site, and it remembers the whole thing. So it just makes life easy. That's what it is.
Yeah, okay.
And that's the kind of tools I use that I don't have to remember, because it's impossible for me to remember these passwords, and I get logged out every single time. That makes it hard. Now the other tool that I was using to show you this concept of what is known as a 2FA. You know what a 2FA is? Two-factor authentication.
We can't see your screen, Neelish.
Okay. It just automatically disconnects sharing for some reason. Strange. But two-factor authentication is another security method, which is similar to this idea of, you go to a bank and you apply for a credit card, and then they will send you the card with the 16-digit number in your mail. Right? That's one method. And the second envelope usually arrives a day or two late. And what does that second envelope contain? A PIN number. Do they send the PIN number and the card together?
Hopefully not.
No. Sometimes when you forget your password, then Google or somebody will say, I have to verify. I don't know if you're you. I don't know if you are really you or trying to be somebody who is not you, trying to be you. And they will want to verify that with another method of verification. Like, for example, we saw Anthony was texted by Google, and they verified him by a text message. And the SMS received has a secret that Anthony has to go and type. And that is another way of doing a two-factor authentication. Sometimes the other methods used are UBkey. And so UBCo company has created a two-factor authentication method which basically generates, it's a product basically, it's a product that looks like this. The little USB device, you buy it for $25, or sometimes cheaper. And that has an inbuilt signature that ties to you. And if you have the USB key plugged into your laptop, then your passwords will work. Otherwise, the password will not work. That's another method. Sometimes some companies will use a token generator. You may have seen it before. It looks like this. Seen it?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
This dynamically generates a number, 6-digit number, and that is based on the algorithm called RSA. These are names of 3 scientists from Israel that created that algorithm that is implemented in form of an RSA algorithm, which is also the same algorithm we use to create our SSH keygen, by the way. And this is a dynamically generated number. This machine on the other end knows what the number should be, and you have the number in your pocket in the token. And that is another method to do a second factor check. After you put a password, they want to still validate if you are indeed the person who should be authorized to access or not. Another method is a recent method, which is called Google software to emulate this RSA token. And you can install Google Authenticator as a software that generates these numbers dynamically. The software looks like this, and it will run on your Android. It will also run on your iPads and iPhones. And it just generates a number like that randomly, just like an RSA token would. And you hook up this example company with this software. So it is not specifically for Google, you can use it for anything. And I use it for multiple companies. So one of the entries I have is Amazon, another one is from DigitalOcean, another one is from MailChimp, and so it goes on and on. And that's another method of securing authentication. Sometimes companies will send you a phone call. They'll call you and give you a secret code number to type in your computer to log yourself in. And that's how it works with me when I am trying to enter my Gmail, or my company mail. Every time I log into my email, I have to answer a phone call coming from Google and listen to the numbers, and type those numbers in. Only then I can check my Gmail or my email. And that's another method of authentication. Sometimes people will send a method of text messages to verify that you are indeed who you claim to be. Some other cases, people will send a letter to your home with a secret number for you to come back and verify that you got the number, so that they will know your exact location and address and confirm that it is indeed you. And in certain cases, these companies actually visit you in person and validate you, and that is typically a police officer. So these are the varieties that you see in real life, where there's second factor authentication to make sure that you are indeed who you claim to be, is being verified by some other form of verification, such as a text message, RSA token, YubiKey, Google Authenticator, SMS, phone calls, personal visits, letters, faxes, you name it.
Okay. So hey, one last question before I gotta go. It's already 9:30.
Mm-hmm.
On your notes, their notes, they're post, they're after the session notes. There's no way to print them out previously, so we kind of know what you're gonna go over or anything.
No, the notes are always after the fact. They're not before the fact.
Okay.
The notes that you can access are visible to you in this location, which is, you probably know that already.
Yeah, I know where it's all at.
Okay. So that location is online.cloudgenie.us.
Yep.
And that's where they will become visible once the date passes. So it's based on this software that, am I sharing my screen? No.
Yes.
No, yes. because it's based on this software from GitHub that we create. You heard me say that, right? We create this piece of software together with a bunch of people.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so that is the software running on the back end of it. And that has this method that is available to us in which says share this content. And so not only creating and using, but also using the software as a school. And so you look at MIT's implementation of it. And I think Michigan also started using it, by the way, Anthony.
Huh, that's cool.
Michigan, EDX, let's see if they use edX. So, there. Study online. It just slightly looks different, but underneath I understand that it is the same software. It looks very different though. I think University of Michigan is what they are doing on this site. It looks, the UI is totally changed. There it is, the edX platform. Now here are the edX courses from University of Michigan. Oops, back. It went somewhere else.
So I just to clarify, whatever I see on the screen is what is going to be recorded. So if you forget to make your computer visible or shared, then it doesn't get recorded.
That is correct. Because whatever I see from my eyes gets recorded. And so that means that I have to make sure that I am seeing what I am showing.
Okay, and that's a manual method that can't be automated. As much as I like seeing your face, I mean, it really helps
I don't think
if I see the screen.
That's not the reason you are here. So I understand that. But I don't know, sometimes it just automatically flips over to the camera back.
Oh, okay.
It automatically flips over like this. I have no idea, I don't even know when it switches over like this.
Yeah, so now I see your face, right.
Yeah, somebody has to remind me to share my screen and then share entire screen, and then it shows you whatever I'm showing you.
Oh. Maybe it times out when you don't move your mouse or something.
Occasionally it just goes back for some reason. But
okay.
Camera is tied to my view.
Alright.
I'm good with that.
Off here.
Yep. So I'm going to stop recording, pass you a link to the